Coast Thunder. To sing our Canadian national anthem, let's welcome to the show ring Miss Alyssa Lennox. It's a beautiful evening for show jumping here at the Summer Fort Festival as we welcome you to the CSI 4-Star Volvo Cup. Once again, please note, after competitor number 52 in the order, there may be a jump shift, depending how, so we talked about the weather that we got yesterday and this morning. Depending how the field is, there could be a possible jump shift. There is 68 horse in our combination. 16 of those riders will be showing multiple horses today. Of course, the qualifying horse for the weekend's competition, our FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver North American League. The first horse, those multiple horses, will be their qualifying horse. We wish them the best of luck in today's Longines ranking class, the $75,000 Volvo Cup coming your way. First horse at 5 o'clock. It's a speed time class this afternoon for the $75,000 Volvo Cup, the Longines ranking class as well. 68 horse and rider combinations to compete over course fences 1 through 12 as we begin with the first of 2 rides for the professional Charlie Jacobs for the CMJ Sport Horse LLC. The 30-year-old German spur horse Ksenia S leads the way. Charlie Jacobs joined us here last week as well out of Boston, Massachusetts. 5 top placings in as many classes since week 2, with a 2nd and 3rd place finish in the $10,000 T-Bird winning round. Here's our leadoff rider from USA, Charlie Jacobs, Ksenia S.
Really well. And the format of the competition here, it's 1 round and it is directly against the clock. So we're going to be looking for the fastest one with the lowest number of faults that will take that victory. Just over 60, 65 combinations coming forwards here. Katie Stazak sitting alongside me today. And Katie, you've had a chance to walk this course. What does it look like out there?
It's really been set similarly the way that Peter Holmes has been setting these courses all week. It's not super technical for a speed, but there are a lot of options. And with a class this robust, riders looking to qualify for Sunday's World Cup, there's only 40 spots and 71 entries here. So they're going to have to move and take some of those options. A lot of lines where you can take a more direct track, leave out a stride if you want, or if you're looking to be more conservative and take that risk. Oh wow, very uncharacteristic for this horse. Very experienced horse.
And quite recently, I mean, this horse has just been so consistent for him. He's been jumping numerous double clears, and he'll be really frustrated with that because he knows as well he needs to be in the top 40 to get through to Sunday, and I'm sure that's going through his mind now.
And there's also a couple of places here for some nice inside turns to shave some time as well, and Charlie's going to need to be as quick as he can because time faults are going to come in addition to those, as of now, the 4 jumping faults.
75 seconds time allowed here.
That line walks a little bit longer than it just rode for him.
Well, in the end, he's going to finish with 4 jumping and 3 time. Total is 7 there for Charlie Jacobs, who gets us underway, 83.69. But probably a lot of frustration going through his mind there. Lindsay Payton-Gardner is going to be the first for the home nation. She represents Canada. She's got this 11-year-old called Capilano HF. And it's a horse that's quite new to the international circuit. Saw her jump this for the first time at Vegas last year. It's a horse that was bred in the USA by Gary Henley.
This will probably be one of the biggest tracks that they've jumped. A lot of experience at the meter 45 level and really just stepping up to some of those meter 50s. They did jump some here last week as well as at Spruce Meadows, so they have been in this particular venue as well as having experience in a very big grass field and numerous venues.
Yeah, she was top 10 last week, and I think that must give her a little bit of confidence as she comes in today. Quick reminder as well, if you are watching on Facebook Live or of course on the FEI YouTube channel, then you can get involved with the conversation. Let us know where you're watching from. If you've got any questions or any comments as well, and we'll certainly be interacting with you throughout this competition.
This is a bit of an S through the center of the ring. We've seen this as a bit of a trademark from Peter Holmes all week. Does it very, very well. And here's where she's taking that inside turn, and you're going to have to, if you want to be in the top in this class. Giving a great ride at the moment.
Those are very unique looking fences.
She'll be thrilled with that.
65.03 jumps really nicely down that final line from the strange looking graffiti down to the Longines. And, you know, with a top 10 finish last week and now posting our first clear in this one, 65.03, Lindsay Payton-Gardner and Capilano HF. Now, without doubt, we're going to see some faster ones than that, but for the stage that they're at in their career, you know, as you said, she's going to be thrilled.
Really smooth, no major adjustments made. It looks like it rode just the way that she planned, and that's all you could ask for.
Oh, absolutely. Well, plenty of people getting involved on YouTube already. Loads of people watching from France for some reason. It's the middle of the night there. What are you doing awake? But great to have you with us. Erinan Gaming's watching from England. Aisha's watching in the Netherlands. Great to have you all with us. And we've also got Richard Spooner with us. He's about to get underway. This is a horse he qualified for last season's World Cup final, but decided it wasn't quite ready. And I think that shows just what a great horseman he is. This is Corrado RC and Richard Spooner for the USA.
And I would say his patience has really paid off, because this horse was sensational down in Jalapa for the Nations Cup earlier this year. Double clear for Team USA. He was a reserve at the Pan American Games in Lima. This is a very talented horse. And this is the rider you want to watch when you're looking to formulate your plan if you really want to get a top position here, because he's so efficient, he's such a fast rider, and he'll set a standard.
Yeah. His rounds always look so smooth.
And he's a smart rider too. 2 nights ago in our T-Bird Challenge, he had a pretty early and uncharacteristic rail, as we're just seeing there, with a horse called Arthos R, a top speed horse, and you could immediately see the change in pace. He knew, well, now I really have to be fast. Quick decisions, leaving out strides. He actually goes around here.
You can see he's wearing a Pelham bit, and normally in show jumping you see people wearing rounding, so they only have one rein, and he's kind of gone the traditional route here, and he's got the 2 reins. Well, not a bad round at all. 4 faults, 68.32 there for Richard Spooner, just dropping that 1 rail down. I think with the amount of entries we've got today, though, I'm not sure that'll be good enough to get him through into the top 40. We'll have to wait and see, but certainly in with a chance.
It's a lovely horse with a big season ahead. Maybe just realized that he would make a nice school of it in the end, because that wasn't one of his faster rides either, so it should be just on the bubble.
Well, long way to go. About 65 still to come forwards here. James Chalk is next, Scarra Glen's Presence. He's based with Vanessa Mannix in Calgary these days, and another one that's actually been here for a couple of weeks. He was second in the Grand Prix with this horse on this stage just last week.
This is a great horse. A newer partnership, though. Paul O'Shea brought this horse up and has done a very good job. And Paul has just had a sensational summer over in Europe, and he's left this horse for James to work with, and he's done a great job already. Many top results.
Yeah, it went really well at Spruce Meadows over the summertime.
He actually won the 3-star Grand Prix at Caledon in May. That line that we just saw Richard Spooner have the rail, it's going to fall for quite a few people, because you're going to want to cut it a bit at an angle there. There's a lot of room, and if you want to be quick, that's a place to shave it. We'll see a lot of people catch on an angle. That was beautiful. Yeah,
he's got some really quick turns through there. .65.03 time to beat. Not going to be too far away. Comes down to the last there, and he is quicker. 64.96, so James Chalk heads up towards the top for Ireland. Scarra Glen's Presence now leads here in the Volvo Cup.
That's a great ride. They look like they're just so comfortable with one another already.
Yeah, over the summer they've really been getting to know each other, and he's just getting more and more confident at taking those tighter turns. Hyde Moffat's going to be next then. Another one for the home nation. He represents Canada. Daniel Coyle was jumping this horse last year. Hyde making a great job of it though, actually. It's a 13-year-old stallion, Balcalvaro, called Grafton.
Yeah, they've been partnered just about a year, and they've been great together. It's a lovely match. The horse is a great horse. Top results, you know, with Hyde as well as Daniel and Connor Swale previously. I was actually chatting with Hyde earlier, and he said that, you know, the horse is so consistent, and he said, but the best thing about this horse is he's got the best tail at the horse show. He said whether the jump is the good or not, he comes out, and this horse has the best looking tail. No matter what, that's always a winner.
It's a huge tail.
It's beautiful.
I would hate to be that horse's groom, though. Can you imagine having to stand and groom that? It would take hours. We've got a question coming in for Ash Tucker, who says, should they be drooling that much? I think he's talking about the last horse, and that's actually not anything bad. It shows the horse is listening, it shows the horse is active through its mouth, so certainly nothing to worry about there, Ash.
And a bit uncharacteristic here. They just jumped in so deep. The horse gave a great effort there to get over A, but just not having enough to get out. So unfortunately a refusal at B at that combination. They circle back fine, but they get a little bit cut in the ground there. Almost kind of looked like they got stuck in the ground.
It's always interesting to hear how they came about to ride in this sport, and he got into it when he was in kindergarten, and someone brought a pony in for show and tell, and he was hooked from there on in.
His parents were probably not pleased
No.
about that. That's
No.
probably the last thing they wanted, to get him interested in horses. It's so expensive asking for a pony, but I think it was a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, and today he's going to be a little bit frustrated, just 4 jumping and then 3 time faults, so a total of 7 and 86, 1-1. Isha's watching from the Netherlands. She broke her ribs a couple of days ago at a show and can't sleep. Well, sorry to hear about your fall, but I'm glad you're with us, Aisha. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, absolutely, and get well soon.
Yeah, and don't fall asleep. We've got lots still to come. Ella W's watching in Michigan, Elaine Cat in Ontario. And Laurie's also with us, Rodent Razor. He's a regular watching on FEI YouTube channel. And Luis Pedro Berabin is going to be next to feature here. Horse is called Colorado. It's a 10-year-old. He's had this horse a couple of years, since it was 8. Reduced it up the grades. And it's really starting to become more and more consistent.
Yeah, nice finish at Del Mar earlier this summer. I love this horse's backstory. Originally, they thought the horse had talent as an event horse, and Michael Young, who's the best event rider in the world, actually tried the horse.
And he obviously thought it didn't.
Well, I think they found that he had a bit more potential for this, and
sure
he's a little bit outscoped, I think,
Yeah.
or overscoped rather for some of those event jumps. Because you have to be willing to scrape your legs a little bit over some of those.
And this horse certainly isn't very clean through the air.
Great slice back on that Liverpool.
Has to hustle a little bit down that final line at 68.88 the time. It's going to be good enough for 3rd at the moment. Luis Pedro Berabin there. He's represented his country at the World Equestrian Games, Pan Am Games in the past as well. And today slides into 3rd with Colorado. James Chalk still leading. Lindsay Payton Gardner sitting in 3rd at this stage. And 64.96 still that challenge. Luis 3rd, Lindsay 2nd, and James currently leading. Sui Gordon Solanke just about to get underway then. Azuru, 13-year-old gelding. This one's an old ride of Catherine Eckermann of Germany, and she added it to her string early last year.
It's been a great horse for her. It's really helped her take the next step up in the levels in her riding, and they made their Nations Cup debut right here at T-Bird in May, competing for Israel.
And really this is Cirie's only horse that she's jumping internationally, and I think that's what's so good about the World Cup Series, because you don't really need a string of horses. She was unlucky there.
Yeah, you saw her shake her head. She wasn't happy there. Just a little bit of miscommunication there between horse and rider, and it get just much too close to the front rail of that oxer. This horse is a very big step. That was a lovely ride.
Rodent Razor saying, I wonder how the ground's going to hold up. Well, they've kind of preempted that actually, because we're going to see about half of the class, then we're going to take a short break, and they're going to move all of the rails about 6 feet sideways. Of course, being careful it's not going to affect the distance of the course, so it still remains a fair test. So they will be jumping on fresh ground. Not a bad round at all, really. She's going to be a bit frustrated, I think. It's 71-1-8 and 4 for Siri Gordon-Solanke and Azuru. She answered, some of the technical questions really well out there. Kyle King comes forward next then for the USA Etalon. 10-year-old gelding, like Tangalo van Zuthov. This horse has only done about a handful of international shows, but he has been jumping it on the national circuit, and he had a 5th place in the 140 Grand Prix here at the beginning of the month nationally.
This horse just made its 3-star Grand Prix debut last week here at the Summer Fort Classic. There's definitely a really good mix of combinations here this week. I mean, we have 2 World Cup final champions in Beezy Madden and Rich Fellers, and then we have some of these horses that are newer to the level, and it's great experience for them.
It's always nice when you get a bit of variety, and you could see Kyle having to work quite hard there just to get the horse focused and listening to him.
Yeah, starting off a little bit spooky, not completely focused on the task at hand, a little distracted, but he looks to have gotten him back focused.
What's going to be interesting though, as he crossed the start line, he was already on about 6 or 7 seconds. His 45 had expired, he'd gone over that. So not really going to be a competitive round for him now.
The rail's not going to help either. You see, he was a little bit behind the mark going into that combination. He rode so forward, then he had too much coming out to that line. It really just created such a domino effect for him.
But in this competition today, they're all going to have their own aims and their own ambitions. I mean, he's not really looking to get into the World Cup with this horse and sort of compete on Sunday. It's really just getting experience in the ring.
Yeah, he's definitely taken his time bringing up the horses that he has to this level, and this is a step up for them, and it'll be a great learning experience and a great educational experience for himself as well, because he'll just know what to work on with the horses.
Yeah, and he's produced a lot of horses over the years.
Absolutely.
Well, sits on 12 as he comes down that final line, finishes in 73.04. Total of 12 there for Kyle King. Just having a look on the FEI YouTube channel here, and we've got Julia and her dad watching in Calgary. You're one of the best dads ever, sitting with Julianne watching this sport. Hopefully you can stay up right to the end, Julia. This is Laura Height coming next. She's had this horse a couple of years now and been quite a successful year actually. She's been spending a bit of time over in Europe. She was 5th in the Grand Prix in Lear, top 3 in Monte Carlo, and I think we saw her here for the Nations Cup event actually as well. This is Laura Height though, Calypso van de Zuthov.
Yeah, I think she is thrilled with the tour she had in Europe. Some really nice results, but great to have her back here at T-Bird. She always comes out for the big dances here, and you really see such a loyalty in the people that come here, because everyone that comes wants to come back, and it's really quite a family atmosphere.
We were talking about shifting the jumps halfway through, and someone's saying, can they do that? Someone else said, I've never seen it done. But when they were walking the course for this, the course designer actually put an extra rail in the position where the fence will be moved to, and the ground jury and the course designer will be working together to make sure that the distance does stay the same. But that's more preferable than asking 70 horses to jump if the ground's not going to hold up. So I think, the course designer will be working, the ground jury will be working, and everyone will make sure that it is fair. But because the rails were out there when they walked, the riders in the second half will know exactly where the fences are going to be, so they've been able to walk those lines.
And I've been told that it has been done here before.
And there you go. Was it a reliable source?
Yes.
Okay. Finishes on 4. Laura Height there for the USA. 70.53 is the time. Time-wise, it wasn't too bad. And just has that one down today. But, she's been growing and growing with that horse. She just had one time fault in the Grand Prix at the Nations Cup event here, and Gudrun Petit had a lot of success with that horse, so keep an eye on them for sure. Lauren Gill's now saying, can they move one jump or all of them? You're going to have to watch Lauren. I think they're going to move most of them, but let's not get too hung up on where the fences are going. It's not going to change the test too much because they're going to make sure the distance is the same, so it's still about leaving them up and going fast. Here's Carrie-Anne Boyce Lockhart next, Ferro DC. This is a Belgian-bred horse. Carrie's had a lot of good results. She's a regular on the West Coast, and it's by Darko, this one. 64.96, still the time to beat. It's great to see people from all over the world joining in, actually. We've got Nye Vandy watching in Oz, down under. I think we might even have an Australian competing here today.
We do.
Yeah, and someone from New Zealand. That's not too far away. And no, it's not the same thing. I get very hung up on that. Alex Conway's wanting his Santa Cruz. Guilherme Jorge, one of the best course designers in the world, is watching on. John Gardner, one of my commentary partners from Royal Windsor and at Toronto as well. Christine Repke from the Royal as well in Toronto, watching on. Not quite going to plan for Carrie today.
The horse definitely seems a bit revved up. She came into the ring and she was very underpaced, and I think she was just trying to bottle up the horse's energy, and as things have kind of opened up a little bit, it's just unraveled. She did the 2-star here in May, so this is a little bit of a step up in the technicality of the course, and she's had plenty of great results here, but unfortunately just not her day today.
Well, he's going to finish on 17, 77, 7, all the 7s there for Carrie-Anne Boyce Lockhart, Ferro DC. James Chalk, though, still leading at the moment, 64.96. Lindsay Peyton Gardner sitting second, and Luis Pedro Berabin in third. That's our top three at this stage. Plenty more still to come. Carrie Roofer's got a couple of horses in this one. This horse is called Mr. Europe. 10-year-old by Mr. Blue. Just had one down in the Grand Prix with this horse here last week, and it's been a really exciting time for Carrie, actually, because she's starting to add just more and more to her string all the time. And not just show jumpers.
I was just about to say, she was telling us about a pretty unique new member of her string the other day. She went and rode a reiner, and she loved it so much that she just bought a reining horse for herself. And she is, I just love Carrie. She's so competitive, just a wonderful personality and having a blast, and just loves the horse.
Yeah.
And this horse just looks night and day from when she first got him. He's always had a lot of quality, but you can just see them both getting so much more comfortable with one another. He looks amazing.
Yeah, he does. She'll have Georgie Dowry to come a bit later as well. It's probably her top horse, one that she's done a lot with. And fun fact, all her horses are geldings. Doesn't have any mares on the yard.
And they all have human names in the barn.
Yeah. Just had that Liverpool down coming across the centre. Well, just finishes on the 4 today, 61.78. You know, really smashes that time, almost 3 seconds faster. But takes that rail today. Carrie Roofer for the USA. Back with another horse a little bit later on. You can see Harry Smolders just having a look round. He's going to be underway now with Hocus Pocus de Muse. Harry ranks number 15 in the world right now. And this is by Tinker's Boy, a real famous stallion who Nick Skelton and Martin Fuchs did so much with. You can see a lot of those characteristics. This horse has that big canter and a real kind of fighting spirit that we saw with Tinker's Boy.
This is a horse that's really coming up the ranks. He took over the ride in the fall, some nice placings in Europe. A lot of experience at the 4- and 5-star level.
And Harry's competed this horse probably like less than 10 times. So essentially they're still getting to know each other, but Harry's ridden so many horses over the years. I think when you get on, you just compare it to, you know, the other ones that are a little bit like this and start to develop that feel.
Well, it's so quick with its front end. I mean, it definitely has the ability. It's so tidy. Oh, he's brilliant on that turn.
This is a real exciting new one for him. 64.96 is the time to beat. His balance is coming round there. A little rattle on the last, but look at that time. 61.96 straight to the top today. Harry Smulders and Hocus Pocus. A real magic round.
Yeah, he made that look so effortless.
So that shakes things up at the top. James Chalk goes to second. Lindsay Payton-Gardner heads down into third at the moment. Some very quick ones coming near the end though, so certainly far from over. You can see there Karen Pillay just making her final adjustments. Connor Swale helping her out down at the gate there, and joins us with this horse called Kino. It's an 11-year-old stallion by Lord Zed out of a Chamberlain mare. It's had a real busy summer. She's been jumping over in Europe, she's been jumping at Spruce Meadows, and here last week, fourth in the Grand Prix. Kitty Cat's watching on YouTube Live and says amazing elevation. That was about that Hocus Pocus horse, and I think you're right, and it can really turn as well. It's quick. Got Sarah Murray now watching from Scotland, back in my homeland. And Sarah, you've got to keep an eye on Thunderbird's Facebook page, because we filmed something earlier on and we were using Scottish phrases and seeing if the riders could work out what they were. So keep an eye out for that. I'm sure it'll be out tomorrow or the next day on Thunderbird's Facebook page.
I'm glad I didn't have to participate in that. I wouldn't have known anything.
Well, we do have that 10-minute break coming up a little bit later, Katie.
Am I going to get quizzed?
I've still got the questions here. Karen's off to a great start though.
She's got a very big year ahead with the Olympic Games coming up in 2020 in Tokyo, riding for Japan.
That's got to be special as well.
Oh, I know it means a lot to her, and she's really worked to build up her string. She's had with wings for many years, and now she's having a group of horses that can kind of help take some of the pressure off of him. This horse, very different in body type from the typical horses that she has, is much longer and taller, real high head carriage, long neck, but her leg wraps around it nicely. She looks great, right into second.
Yeah, it's just going better and better all the time for her. Karen Pillay and Kino, 64.70 their time, so second place for now. The leaderboard just keeps shuffling all the time, so Harry Smulders still out in front, but James Chalk now pushed down into third as Karen Pillay slotting nicely into second place. One of my favourite horses on the circuit right now, this is Dari Lou coming next, the 11-year-old stallion for Beezy Madden representing the USA. Nick De La Gioia actually found this horse for Beezy down in Mexico and showed her a video. And since then it's just grown from strength to strength. Down in Mexico it was Alberto Aldana who brought him over from Europe as a 3-year-old and did a great job producing him up through the kind of young horse stuff until Beezy Madden took over that ride.
I got the chance to meet Alberto this summer in San Miguel, and he told me the story of when Beezy came to try this horse. He could hardly believe that they actually came in, and they for the day, and they rode the horse, and then they went off and chatted, and he said, you know, he was so nervous just waiting to see what they were going to think of his horse. And it's meant a lot to him to see the horse go on and do so well, and you couldn't ask for a better pilot.
No, exactly.
This is actually Beezy's very first time here at Spruce. She's headed to Spruce next, but it's her very first time here at T-Bird, and she said that she's been wanting to come here for years, and it just never worked for her schedule. And she's thrilled to be here. Said she heard a lot of nice things.
Shame she just had that rail there, but This is one of my favourite venues to come to. It's such a friendly venue.
Absolutely. And this horse and the other horse she brought coach. It's their first time out since Aachen.
Well, time-wise, it was very good. 62.93. Certainly not like that horse, but just has the rail there. BZ Madden and Dari Lou into 7th place at the moment. Time-wise, good enough for second, so a real expensive rail, pushing her down that leaderboard. 61.96, still the time to beat. Quick reminder once again, if you are watching on Facebook Live or YouTube Live, then you can get involved with that conversation. Any questions you've got, let us know in the comments section. And also hit that share button as well, let everyone else know that they can enjoy all the sport here throughout the weekend at Thunderbird. Right, we're getting back underway here. Here's Kelly Cruciotti next. Another athlete that represents the USA, Hadja van Oershoff. She won quite a big meter 60 Grand Prix in Tryon back in June with this horse, and I think she gets on with this one really well, actually.
They've come together so well. Jumping at Gothenburg in their first World Cup finals appearance. Kelly is the most poised, well-spoken, professional 22-year-old that I've ever seen. She's so talented, and watch her just look ahead. Just over every fence, her eyes are up. She's so tall with her body and supports the vertical.
She's rubbish at Scottish, though. This is one of the riders that we used as our guinea pigs earlier.
Well, nobody's perfect.
TJ Watson says, how many trips are still to go? Well, there's 68 in it, and 14 have gone so far, so you'll have to do your maths. There's a lot still to go.
These two just looked tremendous here yesterday in the T-Bird speed. They got a nice school in for today's competition.
And she'll be happy with that, 70.24. Clear all the way there for Kelly, and going to go into 6th place, but they were so consistent last year. I can't wait to see how they're going to perform this World Cup season.
Absolutely. Top 10 at Deer Ridge for the Wellington World Cup, top 10 at Live Oak, 3rd at Columbus, and top 10 at Washington for Kelly Cruciotti last season.
Consistency's key. One grey to another. Here's clockwise of Green Hill Z. Uma O'Neill represents New Zealand.
And here's your defending champions of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, the only clear round in the class last season.
Yeah. Wonder if that adds any pressure on when she comes in tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be going through her head.
Oh, absolutely. And since that win, really, Uma has turned a corner, and she's gotten very, very serious. She's added horses to her string, and she really wants to do this, and she actually now rides for a different nationality. She represents New Zealand. She wants more opportunities to compete on teams. She's actually held dual citizenship in New Zealand since she was a baby.
Yeah, her mum actually lives there, so she still goes over quite a bit. Uma bought this horse from a video when it was 7 years old. And she's made some interesting tack changes over the years, because it was in a bit when it first came over, like it is now, and she was having some real trouble, so she put it in a hackamore. It was going great, and now it's swapped back to a bit. Fun facts.
Yeah, that's a newer change. She's been trying different bits. She said she loved the hackamore. The horse went really well in it, but you just need that little bit more sometimes for that extra rideability. You want to make more of those ambitious turns.
I had to adjust a little bit down the final line, but gets that job done. 68.49 clear for Uma O'Neill, clockwise of Green Hill Z, or Z as you would say, into 5th place for Uma O'Neill for New Zealand.
You've Europeanized me. I say Z.
Oh, you're back to Z. It's very correct. Well done. Well, here's Carl Cook. He's got Kalu involved with this. He's a man that's been to 3 World Cup finals. He was 3rd in the Grand Prix with this horse last week. He's had this about 3 years now. 12-year-old by Casal.
This horse has had a really great year. It's really become so consistent. 4 ranking class wins between March and May of this year, from San Juan Capistrano to Lexington. And Carl just recorded a win yesterday in our speed with a horse called Especial PS.
It's interesting, before he actually went out and walked the course as a rider, he was out here with a contraption, a big machine that he's kind of developed. And he's really interested in kind of footing and going. And he's got this machine that will test the ground. So he was out here having a look at the ground, and then he came back to walk.
He sends the data off to get it analyzed, and he wants to learn all about the consistency of the footing, the thickness of the surface, the depth of the surface. I really went to put a slice on that there.
The horse just didn't get up quite high enough. Well, it's going to be 12 in total today for Carl Cook, just taking those 3 rails with Kalou. 62-66 again. Time not bad at all. It was good enough for second, but those rails, I mean, of course, they push him right out of contention here. You can see Rich Feathers already with us, standing by, about to get underway. Jumping this horse for about a year now. It's one called Steelby. I have to say, this horse just keeps getting better and better. He won one of the big 5-star speed competitions at Spruce Meadows over the summertime.
I'm a big fan of this horse. I really like this horse. He's been bringing it along very slowly, and it's fast. He's the first to say that she's fast across the ground, and he would know. He is not one to go slow. He says she's a real hot-blooded woman. That's how he described her.
Carly George says, what does the red in a few of the horses' tails mean? And that's if your horse is a little bit funny in the warm-up, or perhaps can kick if one of the horses gets too close when they're out in the schooling area. So it just warns the other riders just to be wary and maybe just give that horse a little bit more distance. Or as Sandra says, they kick. That's right, Sandra.
Very politically correct, Adam.
I was trying to put it so correctly, and then Sandra comes along and sticks her in. Yeah,
very
exactly.
direct from Sandra. Well, these two working on a great pace. They have brought a rail and now 2 down.
They're just so happy you rescued her. So, like, if I've got to put the puppy, it's totally fine.
Yeah, we'll check out this time.
61 seconds. That is just how quick that horse is. And I think, you know, for the future, that is going to be a serious contender at the very highest level. Catches the time, has a couple of rails. Rich Feathers there with Steelby. Lauren Gill says, will you two be commentating at Spruce 2? Hope to hear you guys in the flesh. Well, I'm going to be there.
Adam will be there.
In the flesh.
In the flesh.
I'm trying to get Katie there as well.
I would love to go.
Hopefully for next year.
I'll clear my calendar for you.
Eva Fontaine says, my favourite is Daniel Coyle. I met him and he's really nice and a good jumper. Well, he's going to be coming here a little bit later.
And already with a win here this week. Daniel
First and
Coyle,
second, I think he was.
First and second.
He's on great form. Christopher Lowe's next. The horse is called Cunningham. Rides for Canada. This is a new horse for Chris in the international division, but he has been riding it nationally. Had a win here in the junior amateur class during the Canadian Premier event. So he's been jumping it nationally for a few years and obviously feels now that they're at that stage to kind of move things up a little bit.
Yeah, they just debuted at the international level, jumping at the 2-star that was here at T-Bird in May. That ran concurrently with the 5-star Nations Cup. Good effort to reach over that oxer out of the combination. He reacts to then move up to the oxer that follows, but then he gets a bit past it. We've actually seen that happen a couple of times.
I think our course designer Peter Holmes has done a good job. This track's jumping quite nicely.
Well, it's very fair. The rails are falling throughout.
Yeah, and there's plenty of options there for those that do want to take them. Seems just using plenty of room there, but still just...
He's really fighting.
Yeah.
You can see him urging his horse on.
That wasn't the easiest ride in the world. Chris Lowe finishes on 13:76.03 there.
Well, he showed good fight through there.
Harry Smolder still leading, Karen Pillay second, James Chalk in third. 19 combinations gone so far, 68 advertised to start here. And of course the top 40 looking for a qualifying place for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, the first of 14 legs on the North American League. Nick Delagioio next. Fayon's the 9-year-old KWPN. This is one that Emily Perez has owned for a couple of years, but Nick only really been competing it internationally for a few months, and this is another one that had been going really well nationally, and now stepping this horse up. But you know, Nick's produced a lot of horses, so if he thinks it's ready, it probably is.
Yeah, he just stepped this horse up to this -50 level last week at the Summer Fort Classic. And when you step a horse up to these levels, you know, obviously you're looking for the result, but then as you continue on, it's about establishing that consistency. It can be so up and down. And I think that's really the true trademark of success in this sport when you get to this level is consistency.
Yeah. When you think of the sort of team events like the Europeans that have been on this weekend, you know, consistency really is key, because it's not just one finals. They add together all the kind of penalties and a correlation throughout the weekend.
Yeah, completely cumulative score.
Becca Ortega says, what is the height of these jumps? Will you walk the course, Katie? What height are they?
So these jumps are -50, and they'll be set up to a max of -50, so you'll see right around -47, -45, up to -50.
Started off so well, but then just having a couple of those rails down in the final three fences. 67.50, 8 the total there for Nick Delagioio and Fayon. Haley Feldman said Nick's such a great person, does a lot for charity in Wellington. Madeline Condley is watching now. She does a lot of endurance competition. Mia Price joining us as well. Hound Wolf. Great to have you all with us. Certainly plenty still to enjoy. And remember as well, you can watch the World Cup qualifier here on FEI TV this Sunday. Make sure you join us for that. Carly Anthony is coming forward next with Chaco. It's a 13-year-old Oldenburg by Chaco Blue. She was second here last week, and she's got her own business now, and it's going rather well for her.
Yeah, this is a horse that she's really formed a nice partnership with. They actually made their World Cup debut here a year ago. Coming off a nice win at the national standard level at the Colorado Horse Park this month.
Although she's got her own business now, she spent a lot of time training with some of the best in the world, like Ben Maher and Eric Lamaze. She spent 5 years working over in Europe, and then came over and was working with Neil Jones, and now out on her own.
Yeah, she's really worked to create a nice foundation for herself. Given a great ride right now.
Well, 61.96 is the time to beat. Not going to be quite quick enough, but still a real good performance. And just the last. I thought that was going to stay there. 63.19 is the time. Time good enough for second, but with that rail, it's expensive. It's down to 10th for Carly Anthony.
Yeah, that's very costly. That's a bit of a heartbreaker.
This is one of the youngest athletes that we're going to see here today. It's Samarikau, who's 17 years of age. Got placings with this horse on the West Coast already this year, and got a couple of nice horses actually. I saw her at the Youth Championships with another ride where she picked up a medal, but the one she has in this is 15 years old. It's called Apex.
Yeah, this is a horse that Harley Brown developed, and she took over the reins in international competition in September. This horse did some of the World Cup circuit back in 2016 and 2017 with Harley. Some nice podium finishes at Sacramento and Del Mar last year. And the youngest rider in our field today.
Such a nice young talent though. I mean, you can see that she's really poised in her position, got great control of her upper body.
You can see it's a little bit conservative, not really going for the speed, but she's giving a very accurate ride. And this is a big level for a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
See, she's going to go around here. But she's placing her horse just where she needs to. And you mentioned earlier, Adam, looking at that Pelham. Here's one with the converter where we saw the two reins earlier.
You see that quite a lot in show jumping because it's quite hard to organise everything, but some people think it's nicer to have control so you can use the snaffle rein most of the time and then just use the Pelham rein when you need that little bit of an extra pull. Emma finishes on 4 today, 72.96, but as Katie mentioned, a big track for a 17-year-old, and she really has been moving up the level, so keep an eye on that girl. Jonas Vervoort comes forward next, Dakar VDL. There's an old rider, Sean Cassidy and Tina Yates. Jonas was campaigning at Spruce Meadows over the summer. The 11-year-old gelding, Dakar VDL, Jonas Vervoort for Belgium.
Yeah, Jonas has done a very good job riding for High Point Stables and Craig and Tina Yates. He really just started with all these horses at Spruce Meadows.
Kitty Cat says, is there a height requirement for the competition? Like, does it have to be within a range of height? And it does. At each competition, they have an FEI draft schedule, which is available for anyone actually. If you do a search on the FEI calendar, you can see it. And it lays out which each competition will be set at. So when we get to the World Cup on Sunday, that will be set at 1.60 m. And the course designer has to make sure that a certain percentage is right up to height. They've also got a bit of a tolerance as well, so they can be 5 centimetres higher than the height set down in that schedule. But yet they have to be up to height, and it's not really going that well for Jonas so far. From now on here, I think he just has to think about making this a bit of a schooling round, just getting organised and trying to give the horse a nice finish.
Yeah, you see this horse really get a bit shifty with his shoulders in a few places. And that definitely contributed to a rail at the Oxer.
Well, 16 is the total in the end there for Jonas and Dakar VDL, 73.29. Rodent Razor says, if we're at Spruce Meadows, can we get autographs? Of course you can. Come and say hello anytime you like. They do riders' autographs there as well, so you can look out for them. Which are probably a little bit more interesting, to be honest, than meeting us. Lisa Carlson then, she's next. Perret's the horse. This is the horse she took to the Pan Am Games where Canada finished in 4th. And it's not been the easiest of horses, but it's really coming together now.
Yeah, Lisa actually took some time away from the top sport, and she found this horse and said, okay, I think this is the horse to really take me back to the top levels. And there was a lot of talent right away, but the horse was very difficult. She really took her time developing this horse to really bring out the potential, and it certainly paid off in spades. This horse has just been a fixture in the past year on Canadian teams, and a crucial part of that nice finish at the Pan Ams, and that guaranteed Canada's spot for a team in the Olympic Games.
Yeah. If you think back to the Nations Cup event here, She was double clear when Canada took the win. And she was down in Mexico, I think, in the Nations Cups as well, so really coming together for her. Houndwolf says, is there a big difference between jumping saddles and Western saddles? Yes, there is. For a start, on a Western saddle, there's a huge big horn right in the middle, near where the pommel would be on a jumping saddle, and you wouldn't want to be leaning forward on one of those. Plus, you don't rise. You don't do rise and trot in a Western saddle. More importantly, though, Lisa Carlson's just put in a great clear performance. 67.70 with Barrett, goes into 5th. And today she'll want to have a good finish, but really I think for her it's all about qualifying for Sunday, because she's definitely a contender.
Absolutely, and this horse just looks brilliant coming back from Lima. This is her first time out again, and the horse just looks great. No worse for the wear, and the form just continuing. What a lovely job she's done with that horse.
Well, plenty of talent still to come forward. 24 gone from the 68 advertised to start. Meredith Ellis is going to be coming next with Callboy. She jumped really well in Del Mar with this horse earlier in the year. Let's see what she's going to do today. 61.96, time to beat with Harry Smolders out in front, Karen Poulet second, James Chalk down in third. Leslie Woodward's watching in California. Great to have you with us, Leslie. Elizabeth Lynn watching. Mohammed Hassan says the atmosphere looks great. Just wait till you see it on Sunday. They put in some big new grandstands here, some new bleachers, and those will be absolutely packed when it comes to the World Cup here on Sunday. You can watch that on FEI TV.
Those stands are sold out already. It's going to be a full house. And that class will get underway at 2 p.m. local time, so that's Pacific time.
So you're really setting up for that turn there.
I really like this horse. He's feeling good right now. He bites her a little bit, but he does come back to her, but he's got a really great expression and a lovely jump.
Yes, all the way, 67.60. That's the time for Meredith Ellis and Callboy. Into 5th place she goes.
That's a great round for them.
Oh, absolutely. You see that big smile as she heads down there. Big pat as well for Callboy, who just looks super relaxed and chilled there as he wanders out on the buckle. Here's an experienced partnership. Zazu Hoffman next, Samson the second. Winner of the Grand Prix here last week. That was a tremendous double clear she jumped, and one that she jumped clear with as well at the Nations Cup in Lisbon earlier in the year. On its day, this horse can be really special.
Well, this horse is 15 now, and I want to say he's better than ever. I mean, he is just in great form, and Zazu has a brilliant partnership with him. They won the World Cup at Del Mar last season. That was Zazu's very first World Cup victory. And then this year they won a National Standard Grand Prix at Giant Steps Charity Show for the 3rd year in a row.
Look how much scope it had as it came through there. Shannon Williamson says go Meredith. Megan Laganen says super cute round from Meredith. Oh, and Harlan's watching as well.
Oh, hi, Harlan. Some very lovely, lovely words there.
Well, here's
from
your boyfriend.
Greenwich, Connecticut. Yep, thank you. Yep.
He has to say nice things.
Doesn't have to, but I'm glad he does.
No, he's learned he has to. He knows how this all works now. He's got you worked out. That was a shame for Zazu. But let's see if it's going to be good enough to get her through in towards the World Cup here on Sunday. 61.45. I mean,
it's a good time.
Good.
Time is very good. That'll help her.
Probably a little bit too early to call for definite, but I would say I think she's going to be good enough to get through. I mean, she's the fastest of the 4 fault rounds we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think it should be good enough. I don't want to jinx her, but I think it should put her in there. She certainly is deserving of it with the form she's had of late.
Well, you can see that leaderboard there. Harry Smulders, Karen Pillay, James Chalk. First, second and third. But I think it's just going to keep getting tighter and tighter at the top of our leaderboard as things continue on through. Angel Caroli making his way forward with a horse called Cooper. Him and his brother were at the Pan Am Games on the team together for Venezuela. When you think about the horses he's got at the moment, I mean, he's got this one, it's great. He's got April Moon, CC Senior that he was jumping at Spruce Meadows.
He's really working on building up his string, and he said that he wants to aim this horse and April Moon for the World Cup season this year. He's made it a goal of his, and he's done a fabulous job with April Moon. That horse is actually one of the triplets to Hakuna Matata that Nikki Simpson has. A very unique situation where they got 4 embryos from one mare and ended up with triplets, and 2 of them are jumping at the meter 60 level.
Yeah,
just incredible.
Such a great story.
This is a newer ride for him, but they've come together pretty quickly.
He's only had this since May. It's an old one of Anna Wilkes from Great Britain. But once you've got that real natural feel, I mean, there's not many horses that he would get on and wouldn't be able to ride.
Yeah, he's a very talented rider.
Places him perfectly around there.
Just cut the turn a little bit and got too close to the left side of that oxer. But he's been working on a good pace.
And finishes on 4:66.52. Angel Caroli and Cooper for Venezuela. Going to move him down to 14th place today, so out of contention as this competition goes, but certainly, you know, could still get in that top 40 and qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver.
It's a quick moving horse and actually looked like it was going faster than the time actually suggested.
Really eats up the ground.
This horse is very fast.
Oh, Blue Movie definitely is. This is a horse he took to the World Equestrian Games last year. Known as Carrots in the stable. It's Rowan Willis for Australia. And it's interesting because he'd been trying to buy this horse since she was a foal, and then finally managed to when it was 5 years old. So it was great that he's kind of always known this horse.
And this horse is not an easy ride. This to me is probably one of the most impressive partnerships in the sport. He can't even ride this horse at home. He has to pony it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not an easy horse, and it gives him everything in the ring.
And he's stuck with it, because I mean, it basically done nothing till it was about 9 years old. And now, I mean, it's right up at the top there.
Well, you just saw a bit of its athleticism there, because it is being so strong and pulling him so far past these jumps. But it's going to go no matter what. And it was quite strong the other day when it jumped in the T-Bird Challenge here as well, and it just obliterated the time. I mean, it was so fast. It was very easily the fastest four-faulter. Right now he's really just trying to manage her and get her back under control.
Yeah, because one reel and a decent time could qualify you, but he knows if he has another one, it's really going to put him in a precarious position. Running down to the last there, but clears that, finishes on 4:70.66 there. Rowan Willis and Blue Movie for Australia. She's got so much blood. So in 17th position. Looks like Sloane Cole's coming next. Chippendale's boy DZ. No stranger to these bigger tracks either. You know, top 10 in the World Cup in Ocala last season. Just back from the Great Lakes Equestrian Festival in Michigan. This is Chippendale's boy DZ, a 10-year-old by Chippendale out of a Lupicore mare.
These two came out yesterday for the T-Bird Speed, and they just jumped a couple of fences and then called it a day. She's been saving him for the week. They've got a couple of big weeks coming up, and she's done a great job developing this horse.
The 60 in, you know, it's a real international field, but it's a real mixed field as well. We're going to see some people who are really competing and aiming to take a victory here today. We're going to see others who are concentrating on qualifying for the World Cup on Sunday, and then we're going to see people who are just kind of producing the horses and getting some ring time. I think Sloane, though, is definitely one of these that's really looking to qualify, but wouldn't mind a nice finish here as well, because she's not going to be too far away from that leading time. Clears that last fence, finishes in 64.50. Sloane Coles for the USA goes into second place. There was another horse with a nice big open canter stride, because she wasn't turning super tight. She didn't look like she was galloping. She was just really economic and let the horse kind of eat up the ground.
That horse is really coming into his own and getting so consistent. He looks fantastic.
Yeah, oh absolutely. Jamie Barge next to go for the USA. This is a horse she's taken to 2 World Cup finals, called Lubo by Lord Peasy, out of a staccato mare. This one is Beau in the stable. I think she gets on with this really well, because she doesn't fight with him. She just sits quiet, finds that rhythm, and lets him do his thing.
These two jumped at the 2018 World Cup finals in Paris. And 3 more top 10 placings in World Cup competition last season at Del Mar, Thermal, and Las Vegas.
Her mum's so supportive. She was sitting with us at lunch today. She's always kind of in or around the shows, here to support and watch Jamie.
So lovely.
Well, I sent her a text and I said,
Maybe Catherine Zoll says, come on, America needs a clear round.
Yes, they do, and they're going to get one.
71.44 for Jamie Barge. Of course, this is a 1-round competition directly against the clock, so not only do they need clear rounds, they also need fast clear rounds. 71.44. Going to take her into 11th place, but, you know, again, probably too close to call, but I would say, you know, she's guaranteed a place in that World Cup on Sunday. I think she's going to make the top 40.
I would think so. I think the way the class is playing, if you get a conservative clear round, it's going to set you up very, very well. The key is, of course, you can't be too conservative, because if a rail falls down in that process, it's going to really jeopardize your chances.
Well, now we're going to a rider who's been to a couple of Olympic Games, 3 World Equestrian Games. It's Cassio Vietti for Brazil, and the horse by Nabab Derev, Kaiser van het Lambrock. This is one he campaigned around Europe last year. Real kind of regular on the West Coast and rides for Neil Jones these days.
He's really been just a staple for Brazil on so many teams, and Brazil is really on a high at the moment, taking individual and team gold at the Pan Ams in Lima, and that guaranteed their team spot in the Olympics for Tokyo next year. Great adjustment there to make that work out. It got quite deep out to the oxer. He does take down a rail though in the combination and kind of slicing the next vertical. That'll put him on 8. Unfortunately, just unraveling a little bit there.
Now he's just thinking about giving this horse a nice finish, a nice school round to complete. And yeah, it's going to be 12 here for Cassio Rivetti and Kaiser van Hertlanbrock. 68.72 the time for Cassio. Few people are saying, are you right to ride stallions in these competitions? And in FEI, stallions are absolutely acceptable, aren't they?
Absolutely, and they're quite common. And it's great for the sport, especially if they go on to, you know, contribute as a breeding stallion.
Most of them have got show jumping careers and then breeding careers as well. Eugenio Garza Perez, Papa Antaportius comes next. Been jumping this internationally for about 18 months now. And part of the team, of course, that took silver at the Pan American Games.
He was also 6th individually. He's really had a great year. Also juggling his studies at my alma mater at the University of Miami.
Kitty Cat's just making sure we were answering earlier about the height of the horses. We thought you were talking about the height of the fences. There's not really any specification on the height of the horses. They have to be horses. You couldn't jump a pony round here because when you look at the doubles or the related lines, they are set on a horse stride. So it'd be very difficult to jump anything too small around this. But yeah, generally speaking, anything over 14.2 would be eligible to compete here. 63.19 for Eugenio Garza Perez. Quite a nice round actually, good time. And it's going to sit him in 2nd at the moment.
It's amazing the string he has right now. This one would probably be 3rd in that string, and just another putting forward a textbook clear round.
You can see they leave a bit of hair on where the spurs are, but that's the biggest patch I've ever seen. I mean, his leg must go back quite far. Never seen that before. Here's Jennifer Gates coming next. Capital Colnardo. Having such a great year with this horse. Top 3 finishes at Spruce Meadows. Placed in Hamburg. Placed in Madrid. And up until about 4 or 5 hours ago today, she was doing an exam at medical school. Then jumped on a plane. And here she is.
She did take a gap year after graduating from Stanford with her undergrad, and now she's going to start med school, very dedicated to it, and she's been very dedicated to this sport as well, as she is dedicated to getting her horse going at the moment. Just a bit spooky, but they've had a great summer. Beautiful stallion. Come on.
I think towards the end we'll see this horse really start to settle down and get back into that rhythm, but Jen doing a good job.
I mean, a very experienced horse.
Yeah.
You could just see the focus just wasn't quite there coming into that combination.
And good on Jen. I mean, as I mentioned, you know, she has just flown in. For most of these other riders, they'll either jump their horses earlier in the week, or they'll at least have sat on them earlier this week. But you know, she's trying to do academia as well as ride at the very top level. So she's got Harry Smolders as her trainer, and he's a great set of eyes to have on the ground.
Absolutely, and it's not just physical, it's so much mental, and when you have something as mentally taxing as a medical exam, you know, to then have to completely change the course of your preparation and focus is something that is definitely not easy.
If anyone can do it, Jen can do it. She's
yes.
cool as a cucumber.
She's lovely, lovely human.
Jen Gates there finishes on 8 today, 70.07. So we're going to have to wait and see whether that's good enough to make the top 40 today. Heads into 27th position at the moment, and if you have just joined us, the reason we're talking about the top 40 is because they will qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver. So that's the Grand Prix that's here on Sunday. Ken Dickey is next to go. Calvadior Z represents the USA. New horse for Ken this year. It's one that Christian Allman was riding for a short time. It's by Calvaro Z.
And this is really only their second time jumping this height together. Very new partnership. Did have a nice finish though to kind of cap their Spruce Meadows campaign. Started to see them kind of come together.
Looks like there's something flapped. I'm not sure if his flash nosebands maybe come loose or something.
Yeah, it looks like it's come out of the keeper.
I think he wants a shorter flash noseband. This flap is not really affecting the horse though. The horse is still keeping its concentration.
Putting in a very nice round.
Yeah, absolutely. Ken will be over the moon with that, I think. 66.70, clear for Ken Dickey.
Yeah, big smile, and gosh, that's a partnership that's really just starting to really gel.
Yeah.
They look great.
I think if that was my noseband, I'd take some scissors to the end of it.
Well, we will see some of your tack this week, as we're going to be doing a bridal challenge for FEI TV.
It's a new series that we're going to be doing this year. We're going to be asking riders some bizarre questions while they try and assemble a bridle as quick as they can. And I've made them pony bridles, just to make it a little bit tougher. See who's got delicate fingers. Andrew Wells, Primo Troy coming forward next. Just back from having a top 10 finish with this horse at the Great Lakes Festival. He was in the Grand Prix there. Primo Troy's by Clinton out of a VDL Arkansas mare.
This horse has had a breakout year. Andrew's developed this horse the past year and a half, and you just saw over the winter, the horse, the light bulb just went off, and it started putting forth top performance after top performance, and it's got quite the resume this season. Also some nice results at Spruce, top 5 in the 3-star Grand Prix at Kentucky in May.
They're still discussing heights of horses on the YouTube comments section. Lauren Gill says that her horse is 15.1, so isn't really tall enough to jump. Well, Lauren, you should Google a horse called Milton. It was John Whitaker's show jumping stallion. He was one of the first horses ever to win over £1 million in the world of show jumping, and he was only about 15 hands. There's not many horses at 15 hands that can compete at the Olympics, but there's certainly some out there.
It's not just the size of the withers, it's also the size of the heart.
Yeah. 64.27 time-wise for Andrew Wells. Primo Troy goes 18th at the moment. With a bit of a nervous waiting to see if he's done enough to get through. It's great to see such a big field as well. Normally, or sometimes I should say, in these qualifiers you've only maybe got 45 or 50, so you've got an almost guaranteed chance, but today they really have to compete if they want to try and make the World Cup on Sunday.
Yeah, and it's not just about jumping clear, it's not a jump off class, so you have to be fast as well. You really have to come in with an aim to put forth your most competitive round.
Yeah. And that's good, I think. It's good sport.
Absolutely.
Patricio Pascal, he's got a couple of nice ones. He's just back from the Pan Am Games. He took the bell there. This one's Pomerol that he brings forward. Rodent Razor says, doesn't Margie Angle ride a horse that's 18 hands? Yes, that'll be Deaconess. And she is tiny. She's like a pea on a mountain.
So we actually had a winner earlier in the week of our welcome that was over 18 hands, a horse called Clarion.
And just like you don't get many that are 15 hands, you don't get many that are 18 hands and can do that, because they tend to be a little bit heavier. But those horses that we're talking about are actually quite light on their feet for the size of legs that they have.
This horse has gradually stepped up the ranks, and we've gotten to see it really at every level here at T-Bird. In 2018 in May, it did the 2-star. It stepped up to the 5-star this year. It's a really nice horse. Patricio's always thought quite highly of him, and he would know he has a tremendous string of horses. His top horse in Babel, he bred himself.
Down towards that final line, and a little light rub there. 64.81 just takes the last today. Patricio Pascal and Pomerol. We were talking about Babel there. My favourite Babel story is that when he bred the horse, and as a real youngster, he thought it was useless. He wanted to get rid of it.
He didn't want it at all. He said he wanted to give it away.
Yeah. So I've told him, if he ever wants to give anything else away, just give me a phone. Caitlin Denby-Edwards next, Escapado S. This is a horse that Nicole Pavitt and Dan Mosley, two British riders, have ridden in the past. Sheila's on Facebook Live saying Milton with a love heart. There'll never be another one like Milton. I think he kind of set a new standard in show jumping horses. And it's interesting to think, though, if Milton was alive today, how would he fare amongst the technicality that these tracks now have? Because the sport has changed tremendously since Milton was out and jumping.
We have Eric Neve here, who is coaching Carl Cook, and we were chatting with him about his win in the World Championships back in 1990, and we pulled up some old footage, and it really brought the same thoughts to mind. It was so cool to see how different everything looked and how different the sport looked, and you wondered, would this horse still thrive?
Yeah, under these conditions. Everything's got lighter, it's become more technical, more related lines. And jumping for more prize money as well. When you think of the Grand Prix that's at Spruce Meadows in 2 weeks, it's for $3 million. $1 million to the winner.
Not a bad payday for a day's work.
It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Finishes on 4, 66.32 for Caitlin Denby-Edwards and Escapado S.
She's having a great week. She gave a brilliant ride yesterday, and our T-Bird speed actually ended up tying with Connor Swale for second. They had identical times, and she was last to go, did a great job, riding in very good form.
Someone else that's on really good form at the moment is Daniel Coyle. He's got Farrell coming forward. We saw him just the other day finish first and second on the opening day of this week. Daniel representing Ireland, of course.
This is the horse that was second in that T-Bird Challenge here on Wednesday. And this is a horse with so much promise. 9 years old, it debuted in its Nations Cup here in May. 4 faults in the first round, came back, jumped a clear round, and Daniel said he really didn't know what to expect from the horse. And he said ever since then the horse turned a corner, and he is looking more and more professional. This is definitely a horse to watch.
I have to say, as a rider, he can get a pretty good tune out of any horse, really. He's got great natural feel.
He does, and his position is just flawless. He is so strong through his core and upper body because his body never moves. He just looks like these horses are so light as a feather because his body always stays so tall.
I'm sure they're all
That core strength being so important. She's going for that nice conservative clear today. And gets it done. 74.09, Daniel Coyle, Farrell. These sights set on the big one here on Sunday.
Yeah, that horse looks absolutely outstanding. That's a very professional looking 9-year-old. And just look how relaxed
I was
he
just
is.
about to say. Yeah. It's amazing that they can jump these big technical lines, big fences, and then just go to the buckle. We're off to Delaney Flynn next. A horse she's had for a while actually. This one's called Milan. It's a horse she took to the youth championships last year, and since then, I mean, they've just done so much together. They've had wins at 5-star level at Spruce Meadows over the summertime. You know, 3 or 4 other top finishes there, including the under 25 series.
Top 10 in the 3-star Grand Prix here last week.
Yeah.
And still very young, just 19 years old. And it's pretty near impossible to replicate anything like the show ring and that atmosphere at home. You can train and do different exercises, but you just have to get in the ring for that experience. Yeah. And for a young rider to get the experience at this age, it's invaluable, because every time you go in the ring, it's going to be easier and less daunting for you.
She's looking a touch strong today. You can see Delaney's using a little bit more room on that turn round to the upright just to make sure she had that control.
Yeah, our horse is really just sighting in on the jumps and accelerating.
Time to work really hard round there. Come on, just leave the rest up and you're in with a chance of qualifying for Sunday. Whoa! Finishes on 8:68.98, and just a real communication issue coming down to the final one. I think she perhaps saw something that the horse didn't see.
Yeah, absolutely. That's unfortunate.
But she's got a real great head in her. She'll be going out and, you know, just kind of reflecting back on what she could have done differently. Harley Brown comes forward next. My Lord Cornet represents Australia. She's had some nice horses over the years, this Harley.
And this is a nice one to watch. Just 9 years old. Had such a great day in Las Vegas, the World Cup qualifier there last season. They were third. He was over the moon with the horse that day and really showed its potential. It's really been all about channeling that consistency now.
He came from a horse family in Melbourne, but now based in California.
Yeah, we have 2 Aussie riders here. And a New Zealand rider. We have quite the international field here. It always is.
Yeah. Always attracts the top field here at Thunderbird.
Actually, at the May show for Nations Cup, there were more Mexican riders than there were Canadian riders.
It's amazing. Although Mexico, I have to say, have got such a huge amount of talent at the moment.
You can still see a little bit of the greenness in this horse, but so much raw ability, and Harley's given a great ride.
Just one to go. And all the way clear, 67.46 there for Harley Brown. My Lord Cornet. Going to head into 8th place at the moment. Very happy with that little horse. A lot of people on YouTube Live discussing what age you should start jumping horses at, and you know, I think essentially in Europe we start jumping them at 5-year-olds, and there's a whole young horse circuit over there, so they can jump at 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And those competitions are designed for the younger horses, so they tend to be very kind of simple and really flowing tracks, just allow them to move forward. But really at this level, you wouldn't see them, probably 8 or 9 would be the kind of youngest. I know Ashley Bond's got a 7-year-old that's jumping here. And it really depends on the horse as well. This is Eve Jobs, by the way, Charleville for the USA. Another one that's got an amazing string at the moment. But with the young horses, it really depends on the horse, doesn't it? They all grow in.
I was going to say, I think it's such an individualized thing, how they're growing, their demeanor, how mature they are, both physically and mentally.
Yeah. You often find as well that they'll do a little bit as maybe a 5 and a 6-year-old, maybe have sort of 6 months off, let them go out in the field, let them mature, let their brains catch up with their legs.
Working on quite a good pace at the moment is Eve. And talk about a rider who's really just taken things to the next level. She's been on so many teams. In a jump off for the bronze individual medal at Pan Am's, took home a team medal. She ended up 5th individually.
Yeah, I mean, when you think what she was doing 2 or 3 years ago and what she's doing now, I mean, it's such a great success story. And just look at that time as well.
Oh, so sharp.
61.99 Eve Jobs for the USA. Such a fantastic round for them. And is going to go into second for Eve Jobs.
And this is a special horse for her. She won her very first Grand Prix with this horse back in 2017. They know each other so well, and the horse looks great.
Alessandra Volpe and Foster comes next, another of the younger athletes in the competition, another one that was at the Youth Championships just a couple of weeks ago. Always a great atmosphere at those Youth Championships, seeing the kind of future of the sport, but there's quite a lot of those riders that are already out jumping at this level, as is Alessandra.
Well, the fences are quite stout, even at the Youth Championships. They are pretty big. She was 6th individually. It's, meter 45.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't make it easy. There's a lot of really young youth talent.
Lauren Gill says, "Hey, my lovely commentators." Well, hey, my lovely Lauren. On the international circuit, do you guys call them broken lines or bending lines? For me, it would be a bending line or perhaps even a dog leg, depending on how I was feeling on the day. What do you call them?
I would say bending line.
Bending line? But really, there's no set terminology. Depends from where you are and who you train with and who you've been around. Lauren said she had a clinic with Jonathan Miller. He called them broken lines. So yeah, I think it probably is just a regional thing. And
yes, he's certainly not wrong. He's not going to use the incorrect terminology, but there's no rule. It's a little bit of jargon and dialect of where you're from.
67.35 there for Alessandra Volpe and Foster. Great young talent, just finishes on the 4 today. Into 25th she goes. Vanessa Manning's next. She's based in Calgary, and she's got, again, a really nice string at the moment. This horse is called Valentino. We saw Vanessa at Spruce Meadows all summer long. She trains with Connor Swale, who has been really successful here at Thunderbird over the years.
These two, a nice year they're having. Top 5 in the 3-star Grand Prix in Wellington earlier in March. They've been together just about a year and a half now.
And she was second here last week.
Beautiful ride there. And Vanessa's riding has really come quite a ways. A talented rider, but she's been with Connor Swale now. What a partnership they have, going on almost 15 years now,
Yeah.
and you don't see that ever. I mean, it's just tremendous.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, normally in the equestrian sports you fall out within 3 or 4 years, but they've managed not to fall out for 15. It's amazing. 65.06, Vanessa Mannix and Valentino into 8th place they go. I think they've got quite similar personalities though, because they're both so laid back.
Yeah, I think you'd want to ask them, you know, for relationship advice. They're obviously not romantically involved, but
That could be a whole new show. We could get them up here.
They're doing something right.
Mariano Maggi comes next for Sweden with Sanvano. He's been jumping well already this week. Here is an athlete, but also as a trainer as well, trainer of Uma O'Neill. We've got another one actually that's got a great kind of partnership going on.
Yeah, Mariana's having a great week, putting forth really sharp, clear rounds with both this horse and Quintago yesterday in the T-Bird Speed. And of course, Mariano's been training Uma O'Neill for the past about 2 years now. And a lot of time they share the rides on the horses as he's bringing them up and kind of preparing them for her.
Ben Duzzy's just joined us on Facebook Live, says hello everyone. Barbara Johnson says she wants to go to Spruce Meadows. Definitely worth a trip, especially for the Masters tournament. They've got a 6-bar, they've got a symphony with fireworks, and a $3 million Grand Prix. But somewhere else you should come as well is actually Thunderbird, because this is the friendliest venue in the world.
Yeah, this is a pretty great place too. I know it's always one of the first places I put on my calendar, and friendly is absolutely the best word to put it. Everyone here is so kind and accommodating, and you just feel like home when you come.
Donna Grant now watching from Prince Edward Island. Mariano's going to finish on 8 faults today, 69.35. Susan Renzi says these horses are amazing.
That they are.
And we have jumped 44 from the 68 advertised to start. Jose Antonio Chedraui is next. Yaya Cesara represents Mexico. As we were saying just a few minutes ago, Katie, I mean, Mexico, can't say enough good things about them at the moment, really.
Oh, their list of talent is so deep.
And
it's
horsepower
tremendous.
as
Yes. They've really committed to the sport. You just see it. And they're equally as passionate about it. They get so excited. They absolutely just, they come out and support everyone. They're great teammates. And Jose Antonio, I mean, he's a huge supporter of the sport in Mexico.
His dad very much involved.
Unfortunately, they don't get the start that they're looking for. They pull the first rail, but it's almost a blessing in disguise in a speed class because, you know, right off the bat, you need to be quick if you want to get in with the piece.
Yeah, if you want to try and qualify as well now, I think, because we've got quite a few on for. The cutoff at the moment's on 12 faults for that 40th position. But, you know, you can see him just moving up that pace. This is a really experienced horse as well. Cameron Hanley's ridden it at places like Dublin and Aachen, Paris, Saint-Tropez. Jose took over the ride at the end of last year.
Top 10 in Leon's very first World Cup qualifier last season. Also a nice finish at Balvanera this year. Definitely accomplished. And right now still working on just that 4, so they could be in a good spot. Just have to preserve it there over that final rail, and they do.
Yeah, finishes on the 4, 72.68. I think he's going to be okay. Goes into 31st at the moment. We do still have quite a few left to come. He's going to have to wait and see.
I would have thought he would have tried to go a bit faster after having such an early rail.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that kind of opportunity.
Everyone's still trying to chase down Hocus Pocus to lose.
This is Vanny Koshla. Another one of the athletes that's been building up their string. There's quite a few of them at the minute. Exciting time for old Vanny. Dragonfly de Longchamps, the name of this one. Vanny representing the USA.
This is a newer ride for her. She just got this horse after the winter season, a former ride of Belgium's Zoe Conter. Top 10 in the 3-star Grand Prix at Del Mar. I think this is going to be a really nice horse for Bonnie. Bonnie also has a fabulous stallion named Billy Mexico that has really helped her climb the ranks.
Yeah, that was bred in Great Britain by the Billy stud. Oh, and she's going to be calling it a day.
She must have felt something she didn't like.
Yeah. Well, Vanny Koshla electing to retire there with Dragonfly. I'll have to maybe ask her afterwards what happened, because I mean, the horse certainly looks okay.
Yeah, the first fence looked fine. She might have just felt something that she wasn't comfortable with. Didn't feel like it was going to be their day. Always have to be, intuitive with your horse and feel every step, and we'll have to ask her, but it's a very nice partnership, and hopefully we'll see a lot more from them. Question is, will anyone catch Harry Smolders?
I mean, he's sat up at the top now for so long, 61.96, still the time to beat.
Eve Jobs was very close.
Yeah, and so was Eugenio, to be fair. Not too much separating them. Lauren Gill's off to eat supper, which is good to know. Well, thanks for joining us, Lauren, even though you're leaving us now with about 20 left to go.
Yeah, want to bring us back something.
Exactly. What's for supper, Lauren? Well, out there you can see the gateway that they all come through. To the right-hand side of your pictures where the warm-up is. And that little tower is where the judges sit. This is Connor Swale, who's just getting dressed at the gateway there. But he's won so much here at Thunderbird over the years.
He is the venue's winningest rider. He rides for Ireland, but this is as home as it gets for him. He won the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver back in 2017 with a horse called Flower. This is a younger one. Boy, is it talented.
He's another one that gets a good tune out of pretty much anything he sits on.
He really is a tremendous horseman. What a rider. The horses all respond to him. This one is one that really a year ago was jumping at the national level. And by the end of this summer was in the top placings in the 5-star Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. He's riding him in a hackamore too.
Nice big open stride here. Chiropractors watching in Perth. Now I wonder if that's Perth, Australia or Perth in Scotland. I'm guessing it's Perth in Australia. It's the middle of the night in Scotland. Or is there a Perth in Canada actually? Is there a Perth in Ontario?
Oh, Ontario.
Could be there. Where is it, Clara? Where are you in the world? Oh!
What an effort! I think we're going to have, it's going to be a touch slower, but wow, he went for it there.
Yeah, he certainly did. 62.
He wanted to make up some time there late, and he certainly did.
62.52 for Connor Swale. I mean, that just goes to show what a rider he is, and also how careful and how clean this horse is.
Yeah, this horse is just becoming more and more professional. It looks easier and easier for him. You saw the raw talent, but it just looked so much more polished.
Here's Enrique Gonzalez next, Lord Pizarro. We mentioned how much talent Mexico's got, and Enrique certainly falls into that category. Competed this at Spruce Meadows over the summer, competed it in the Grand Prix here last week where he just had one down in the first round.
And he's really part of the old guard for Mexico. I mean, he's been just a fixture on teams for a long time.
He's a real nice guy.
part of that silver medal winning squad in Lima.
Fooling around says, when does this end? Well,
it ends after the 68th horse, and we've seen 47 of those. Now, we did mention earlier that they're going to take a break for about 10 minutes to actually reset some of these jumps and move them about 6 feet over to kind of preserve the footing. Now, we've waited until more than halfway through the class because they actually wanted all the horses designated to be World Cup horses to jump in the same exact conditions.
Yep.
And then they're going to change it a bit for the remaining horses, just to make sure that everyone has a fair surface, but they did want to keep it exactly the same for all of those World Cup horses, at least eligible to be World Cup horses, those designated by the riders. They'll have to qualify. You have to be in the top 40.
Well, he's in 27th at the moment, 4 faults and 67.17. Do you remember where the cutoff was, where they were going to stop and move things?
I believe it's 52.
I was thinking maybe they decided not to because the ground, I think, is perfect out there. It doesn't look like it's getting churned up or anything.
No, it looks great. I mean, the surface has held up all week long. We had a deluge of rain here on Wednesday. They really wanted to put the safety of horses and riders first. They moved our T-Bird Challenge into the sand arena, and in the sand arena, there wasn't a single puddle.
No.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Tracy App on track. Chicago for Canada. She didn't have the easiest ride with this horse the other day.
No, and he came out a bit spooky today as well. And they're quite experienced. They jumped the World Cup qualifier here last year. They jumped the 5-star Grand Prix here this year. So they know this field very well. They know this venue very well. And they know the level.
Anna F is asking if there's anyone from France jumping.
Well, Eric Neve is here, but he's not jumping
He's
today.
not jumping. I think he's here training, perhaps. Maybe riding in some of the other rings. Well, just looked a little bit nappy past that in-gate.
Yeah, he thought he was done. And that jump has been placed there for exactly that reason.
Yeah, and normally you wouldn't expect at this level for the horses to be napping and wanting to go back to its friends in the warm-up, but to say, you know, this horse is just a little bit off the boil at the moment, and it's a shame because Tracy's had some really nice results with it. Something to ride really strong down there. Go on, get your leg on.
Oh, he's really given her a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I think it's time to go home and change the plans a little bit. And that is the world of show jumping. You know, you can be right up at the top with your horse one day, and the next day, for no apparent reason whatsoever, you can be having these issues. And you know, I think it's just time to take a little bit of time, get its confidence back, get it sorted out, and I'm sure we'll see her doing good things as well later in the season.
Absolutely, and they already have in the past, and that horse is a stallion, so, you know, can just get a little bit opinionated.
Andy Coker's next. Fashion the 5th. Represents the USA.
These two had a nice summer at Spruce Meadows. This is a super game mare. Andy really likes riding her. She's fast, great in a speed class, and just a real competitor. And that just sounds like a match to Andy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He's always kind of in it to win it.
He always leaves it all out there, absolutely. and he went to his first World Cup finals back in 2018. He's got a nice string at the moment. He's building up a lot of young horses as well. I know he's really got his eyes set on the World Cup season next season. But he said if he won one this year, he would certainly go for it.
Yeah. Well, he's in it to try and get up towards the top of that leaderboard today. Let's have a look. It's arms and elbows across the finish line. 61.14 there. Andy Coker and Fashion the Fifth go straight to the top. Pushes Harry Smolders down into second. You can see how happy he is.
He's elated
with that little horse.
I mean, not only he has his eyes on qualifying for Sunday, obviously today, but he knows this horse is a competitor. He always goes for it. He's got to be thrilled. He was just telling me yesterday how much he really liked this horse.
Yeah. He's got such a unique style, but it certainly works for him. He's very effective.
He's just a fighter.
Yeah. So 61.14, that's the new time to beat. 50 gone from the 68 advertised to start here. So 18 left to go, according to my maths. And we can see how that leaderboard looks now. Andy Coker leads, Harry Smolders second, Eve Jobs third, and Connor Swell sitting down in fourth. But 61.14, a little bit more pressure has been added on for those remaining athletes here. And if you have just joined us, this is a one-round competition, so it's directly against the clock. It's like one big long jump off. And if you are watching online on Facebook Live or on the FEI YouTube channel, then remember, hit that share button. Let anyone else that's still up, depending on where they're watching in the world, let them know they can watch with us as well. And if you've got any questions or any comments, anything you want to know, then stick it in the comments. Laura Jane Tidball next, Concetto Sun, a horse that's jumped all over the world with some very good riders, and you know, Laura Jane making a great job, and it's great to see her back in the saddle as well. She had quite a nasty accident, didn't she?
She had a very scary fall, and she broke a lot of bones. She is so tough and made a very quick recovery. Was a bit of a last-minute add to this competition. She's done a great job with this horse. He's very strong. He came out a little bit strong the other day because he's obviously had a little bit of time off with her out of the saddle. But it's great to see her back, and such a credit to her coming back from quite a significant injury to be back as soon as she has, and she's looked great. She's the first of two before we do that course reset.
I was chatting to her the other day while I was waiting for an omelette to cook, and she said, you know, although she's back, she is feeling good. She's also being very sensible, so if it was really raining hard today and the tack was a little bit slippy, there's no way she'd be in this ring. And I think that's great.
Yeah, that's very important.
She's competitive, she's hungry for the win, but she's also really sensible as well, and she doesn't want to rush that final bit of the recovery.
Absolutely, and she's young and a talented rider. She has so much more to come in this sport. It's hard to be patient sometimes, but...
especially when you've got a horse like this in the stable.
That's right. Well, looking like a great round. And she didn't fly,
yes.
She went around there. She'll pick up a time fault, but that'll qualify her nicely for Sunday.
Yeah, she's not going to be too bothered about that. You know, she's back in this ring.
She got a very nice ovation there from the crowd. This is her home, and wonderful to see those two back in great form.
I mean, I think for her that will have mean as much as actually winning today.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be back in here and just, you know, jump around with
that
the
is a
time
win.
fault. Yeah,
that
it
is
a win for her. Ashley Bond comes next then. Donatello represents Israel. If you've been with us throughout the competition, you'll have heard us mentioning, you know, riders that have been adding to her string, and you know, Ashley's definitely one of those.
Oh, she just imported a horse that she's debuted here this week in the national division. She said she was very tempted to do FEI with it, but she's going to get to know the horse, and she's got a great string of horses. She won 3 FEI classes last week.
Yeah.
She's just on such a roll, and this horse won at FEI as a 7-year-old and is already so many wins this year at 8. What a future this horse has.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I think that horse you were talking about in the national divisions, it's called Lazy. which I just think's a great name.
There's actually another as well.
There's
even
another one as
newer
well.
than Lazy, yes.
What's its name?
I have to look it up. It's not as easy as Lazy.
It's the only reason I asked. Come on, she's almost finished, Katie. Type faster, Katie. Look it up, Katie. We all want to know. Ashley probably can't remember its name either. She's got so many horses at the moment, but look at that time, 60.53. She will be over the moon. She is leading the way. She punches the air there. Donatello and Ashley Bond becoming the new leader for Israel.
That horse is brilliant. I mean, she just adores this horse, and what it's done at such a young age is remarkable.
I think we got away with that, Katie. Everyone's forgotten about the other horse now.
I haven't. I won't be able to sleep until I figure out the name of that horse.
Well, the leaderboard gets shuffled again. Ashley Bond's now leading. Andy Coker's second. Harry Smolders third. Eve Jobs in fourth. 60.53. That is going to take some catching. Now, as you look out to the arena, just behind the leaderboard, you can see the ring crew starting to move some rails around. And again, if you were with us earlier, if you've been committed and here from the start, you'll have heard us mentioning that they are going to be moving the fences onto fresh ground at this stage. They're going to be moving them over 6 feet. But as the riders were walking the course, they put a spare rail where the fences are going to be sighted, and that was so the riders can walk those lines. But the ground jury and the course designer, so the judges and the course builder, they'll be working together to make sure that the length of the track remains the same. And that is important because obviously this is a speed competition, it's directly against the clock. In this type of competition, you wouldn't normally move any fences because it would affect things, so they're going to be so careful that it doesn't affect things too much. So we've got some nice horses still to come. We're going to move those fences. It's going to take them about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to have them back underway, and we're going to see if anyone can try and catch Ashley Bond. I think that's going to take some beating, though.
It will, and we can talk about her new horse that I found in Volvo de Flayers, who looked very nice here earlier this week, and I wasn't going to stop until I remembered that.
You found it. So you can remember that name, I'll remember Lazy. That seems fair.
That seems a bit lazy.
It does seem a bit lazy, you're right. So they're out in the warm-up now, the next few getting ready.
And they've really turned on the heat in the last few rides because it was looking like nobody was going to catch Harry Smolders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ashley Bond just smashed it there with Donatello. Linda Shipley looking forward to seeing Beezy's second horse, that's called Coach. And she's another one with a great string, Coach Breitling, Lucia, Dari Lou as well.
And I think the most exciting horse out there in the 8-year-old Garant. That horse is just outstanding. So the cutoff right now at 40 is 8 faults, 61 seconds, currently held by Rich Fellers and Steelby.
And I think we're going to see that maybe come down to, certainly into the faster of the 8 fault rounds, if not into the 4 fault rounds. Got some really nice ones coming towards the end. Kitty Cat's asking, is it easier to jump a longer horse or a shorter horse? I would say a shorter horse, because the longer they are, the more you have to hold together. What would you say?
I'd agree. If you have a longer horse, though, typically you have a bigger stride, so that's always a little bit of an advantage. I think it has to do with body type. I personally would have an easier time riding a smaller horse.
Yeah.
But I have a little bit more of a smaller frame.
Yeah, you're tiny. Yeah, I mean, I think that's true as well. And I think it really just depends on the horse. You know, it can have the worst sort of conformation in the world, it can be the longest horse in the world, but as long as it jumps, it doesn't really matter in this sport. It's all about just leaving the fences up and being quick. We have got a short break, so if you've got anything you want to ask, now would be a great time. Maeva Fontaine says, OMG, Andrew Coker did the same thing at Bromont. What did he do at Bromont, Katie? You know these things.
We'd probably be very fast.
Yeah.
That's something he does quite a bit.
I've never seen him go slow. He's such a quick rider. See if we've got any other questions coming in on Facebook as well. Sean Stevens, I think, is watching a little bit behind, because you can do that. I think you can rewind these players. He's saying Milton was an unbelievable jumper and had a huge heart. Absolutely. Shannon says, way to go, Ashley. Patrick Links watching from Ocala. Of course, Ocala is one of the places we go, actually, on this World Cup Tour. It's the final leg in the North American League, so we're going to be there next March. That seems like a lifetime away.
It does, but it comes up. It comes up quickly.
If you're kind of new to the sport and stuff, this is a World Cup here this Sunday, and it's the first of 14 of them in North America. So after here, we're going to be going to New York, and then after that, I think it's Washington after that.
No, we've got Sacramento and Columbus.
Oh yeah, and then it's Washington. Then Toronto. Oh no,
Lexington, Toronto, Las Vegas, Guadalajara, Wellington at Deer Ridge, Leon, and Live Oak.
There we go. Did you miss Thermal?
Yep,
Okay.
I did, with Toronto.
No one else noticed.
I did.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, but it all comes down to the wire as riders battle for points, and they'll take the top 7 from the East Coast Sub-League of the North American League and the top 3 from the West Coast Sub-League, and boy does it come down to the wire.
Got Tanya just watching from the Netherlands, she's joined us. Eric watching in Tryon. Helen Ashdown-Smith is watching from the UK. You crazy person, I can only imagine what time it is there. I was there for about 2 days last week, managed to go home, and my body's just so confused about what time it is, but I think it's going to be 3 or 4 a.m. over
Right,
in the UK.
it's not Friday anymore there.
No, exactly. You're watching tomorrow. That really confuses things. Liam Hickman watching as well. So if you are watching, let us know where you are. If you've got any questions, if you want to just say hello, feel free. You can type it in the comments section, either on Facebook Live or, of course, on the FEI YouTube player as well. Plenty of people watching from all over the world. Oh, Lauren Gill's back. She must have finished her hamburger, which is what she was having. She's having a burger for tea. Who are your favourite riders?
Ooh,
There you go, Katie. Who's your favourite riders?
That's a very tough question, and you just have to have so much respect for anybody that's coming out here and doing this, because it takes a lot of dedication. I don't want to say that I have a favorite, but some of my favorite to watch I enjoy very much. Laura Kraut is a favorite of mine. Beezy Madden is a favorite of mine. I'd really go through a very long list if you let me.
Especially at this level, because there's not really any bad riders at this level. You know, if they're going to be keeping horses out on the circuit, keeping them sound, keeping them healthy, and keeping them competitive, then you know they're all quite good. One that I really enjoy watching is Martin Fuchs. I think he's an absolute master. He's great to watch in the warm-up. McLean Ward's always great. I'm trying to think who else is here, actually.
Richard Spooner and Rich Fellers are 2 other favorites of mine.
I like Richard Spooner because of the relationship he has with these horses. He's always in really simple tack, and if you watch when Richard Spooner comes out, he's always got a treat in his pocket.
Always got a mint.
And the horses know to kind of turn around and look. I've also got some riders that I really like because they're great fun at the bar, but I don't think we need to get into that list quite yet, do we? Because they're almost ready to get back underway, so we'll leave that list for now. But yeah, I mean, it's for so many different reasons. Some of them it's because, you know, of how they treat their horses. Some of them it's because how talented they are and how quick they are.
I think for me it becomes more of partnerships that I love to watch, even than just the rider.
The course is open for walking. If the riders need to, the course is open for walking here.
Any of these horses competing in other disciplines like dressage or eventing, well, they don't really mix at the moment. There's maybe some that started off in eventing then came to jumping, or sort of vice versa.
They
but
probably
they don't
do
really
some cross training in some basic dressage, but they're not going to compete at that level.
Because really, show jumping is dressage over fences, really. Because you need to have the canter, you need to be able to push them out off your leg into the corners. And I know people like Carl Hester, who's right at the top of the dressage world, does jump his horses, not over anything big, but he jumps them over little crossbows, just to give them something different to think about.
Absolutely, cross training is very important. I always think of jumping as flat work or dressage with obstacles in the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've
Just
got
little-
to have those skills.
Little speed bumps.
You might not see Passage or Piaf unless it's gone really badly.
Absolutely.
Although Beezy Madden the other day came in, I don't know if you were around at this point, she brought her horse in basically just to have a look around for today.
Yes.
So she was very kind of tactful. She came in, she got the bell, she used her 45 seconds countdown, and then she used her another 45 seconds and then technically got eliminated, but she came in to have a look around and that's what she did. And it looked like she was doing dressage because her flat work's so good.
I've watched her give some clinics and some demo rides on the flat, and it's just a joy to watch. It really is putting on a clinic.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Watch them in the warm-up, I think, is always a great thing to do as well if you come to a show. Watch them in the ring, but if you can, get out to the warm-up and just watch how they warm up the horses, how they sort them out before they come in and get them prepared. Olivia says, favourite part about commentating?
Oh gosh, I guess it would be twofold for me. One is just getting to watch the fabulous sport that we do in so many wonderful places, and the other would be sharing the stories of this sport and that are in this sport, because it is wonderful. And a goal of mine is to always, increase the exposure of it and make more people aware of how special it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have said it's spending time with you, Katie, but that's
Oh,
fine.
Adam, right back at you.
And I think it's good because we get to put our own spin on it as well. If you listen to different commentators around the world, they've all got their own style and their own technique, and
Absolutely.
you kind of get to be individual. I mean, obviously they're not as good as us. We won't go there.
Well, yeah.
Julia says she wishes Danny Goldstein Waldman would come and compete in Canada. Yet Danny Waldman, as she's now known, Danielle Goldstein as she used to be known, she got married quite recently actually. They went off and got married on a boat. She says she wishes she'd come and compete in Canada. I'm sure she will. I mean, she's probably been to Spruce Meadows, I would think.
Yeah, we'll have to write her.
Amy Dickens asks, how long have you been commentating?
Let's see. I've been commentating for 4 or 5 years now, and before I did television hosting in horse racing for a couple of years before that.
So that probably counts as well. I think I started when I was 17. I don't want to give my age away because I'm not getting old. I might even be going wrinkly soon. But long enough.
I started I worked the day after I graduated from college.
You've never stopped.
No, I haven't.
Katie likes working. But if anyone wants to get into it, there's certainly a gap in North America. It's always good to have some new voices.
I always enjoy company, though I love when Adam comes over from Europe, so I don't know how many more I want in North America.
Well,
I'd like to keep you around.
I think the good thing is as well, we all do different things. So like it shows you're kind of writing press releases and stuff, and you do other bits of media, and you do websites and stuff, and I do different things with production and other kind of presenting stuff. So I think it's good to have that bit of variety.
It's so important to be well-rounded. I mean, you can draw so many parallels.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and bring kind of fresh perspective as well. Aina says, do you commentators ride? I still ride a little bit, not competitively anymore because I'm on the road so much. My wife's got a horse that we keep at home, and you still ride as well, Katie?
I do. I ride every day that I'm home, which is not always very often. Occasionally I can pick up a ride on the road. I do compete when I can, but work has definitely taken over, and I understand the requirements to compete at this level. You need to be riding every single day, multiple times a day, but I do try to stay in the ring as much as I can.
And the easiest place to ride is the commentary box, I find.
Absolutely.
I've jumped some of the biggest tracks in the world from the commentary box. Here, this is definitely a question for you. This is definitely a girl question.
Oh, goodness.
What's your favourite horse colour?
Oh, the color of the horse that tries hard for me. I don't get picky with color. I have been a glutton for punishment in owning about 5 gray horses. They just love to find me, and it's the gray horses that have a real talent for getting positively filthy. I have logged more hours with a curry comb than I can care to admit, but I've had more gray horses than I would have liked to own, but they really enjoy finding me.
I think if you've got a grey horse, you really need a groom, unless you're very good at grooming and washing. And
I'm very good at grooming. I don't know if I would just say it's talent, but it's definitely experience. Growing up, I never had a groom, and I took care of my own horses and even had them in the barn and managed the barn, cleaned their stall. And no matter how many times I tried to clean the stall so they'd have nothing to roll in, they still found it. It just never ended. I think I'd prefer a bay now.
Kelly Edwards is asking, how long have you been riding? I started riding when I was 3 and then competed, and then I became a BHS instructor when I was 17 and a riding road safety instructor, then a national judge and an FEI judge.
I started riding also when I was 3 and showed all the way up through my junior years, and then went to college and focused on school, still rode and catch rode, and that's kind of what I still do is I focus on work, and none of us are revealing our ages, so we won't give you an exact year.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably safer for you. Angela Tomeo says, who's Eric Neve training?
He's training Carl Cook. He has been for the past few years. He actually had a really great conversation with him yesterday where he talked about the first time Carl went and visited his farm in France.
Yeah.
And he said he brought 3 horses and he didn't end up riding at all.
Okay.
Eric spent the whole time riding the horses, and he just wanted to watch and see what Eric did. He said Carl really is a student of the sport and wants to not just be a pilot. He wants to be a real horseman, and he's chosen no one better than Eric Neve to teach him that.
Yeah.
He's just tremendous.
His whole family are involved, Eric's, aren't they, there?
He was telling us some of the things he did growing up at the European Championships. I believe his horse lost a shoe, and the farrier took too long, so he put it back on himself.
Oh, right.
And growing up, his father ran a breeding operation, and he can actually castrate the horses himself.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
He is pretty amazing.
Amy Dickens says, how long till the jumping will start? Are we boring you, Amy?
They did tell us it would be a 10-minute break, but they're obviously going to want to be exceptionally careful and attentive to where they're placing these fences so they don't affect the track, and that it's kept the same for everyone. But I know that's looking like it should be ready very, very shortly.
Fooling Around said, horses or ponies? Please answer. Well, for this stuff, you really need horses. They don't do too many kind of high-end pony stuff here in North America, but being from the UK, I love pony shows, and things like Horse of the Year show, which is in Birmingham, where you have the kind of pony finals. I love watching them, and the atmosphere is always great as you've got these tiny ponies jumping huge fences.
I'm going to go with horses because growing up with a pony, ponies are incredibly opinionated.
Yes, they are.
And being a tiny built person, sometimes I still get asked to school the ponies, and they still have just as much attitude. I think a horse is much more well-mannered than the tiny ponies that just throw you right off because you have nothing to hold on to.
Amy's got back to say that we're not boring her, which is good news, but no one's
thank you.
jumping. But if you've got really good eyesight, Amy, and you look right past the field, behind those white tents, that's where the warm-up is. And you might just be able to see them. I think they are starting to jump in there, so we are just a couple of minutes away from getting started once again here.
And that's another very special feature at Thunderbird, is that warm-up is a full regular-sized arena. It's enormous.
Yeah.
You really don't always get a schooling arena that massive. It's really such a horse-friendly venue here.
Olivia says they did a great job at the Youth Championships of putting pressure on Sam Walker, because when he came in, he needed to, I think, go clear or have 4 to get a gold medal, and I did say no pressure.
Oh, and he lost.
No, I think he won, didn't he?
No, Sophie Gotchman was individual gold.
You weren't even there. I should remember, really. But, I mean, Sam's such a great rider.
He is.
He's done a lot, so he can definitely take the pressure.
He can take the pressure. I mean, he's already winning at the FEI level, in open company. What a talented young rider. Won the Maclay finals in the U.S., which is just the pinnacle of equitation and foundation for American show jumping. All the greats have won it, in McLean and Beasy and I had the privilege of riding them as a junior, and I credit a lot of what I do to that.
Yeah.
Not just, the position, but also handling the pressure.
Yeah.
Oh my, it is.
Yeah. And
It's
that's
quite a
part of the
pressure.
sport.
Absolutely.
Someone asking what's the most difficult type of fence to jump. I would say these days is an open water, because you don't see them that often. It's only in Nations Cups and the big venues. And also skinnies, or styles as we call them.
Yeah, I would agree. Also, the fence that follows the water.
Yeah, exactly. Quite often, they use the water to open it up, and then they'll stick a delicate vertical about 5 strides away, and you've got to gather everything back together.
Also, we're just seeing some very creative jump designs. The
Yeah.
walls that they put out could just catch a horse off guard. You don't always know what you're going to see out there.
And I think, that's going to keep happening, because they can't really get any higher.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to get more technical and use those kind of scarier fences to try and sort the competition out. Any tips for riders who want to get to be doing this one day but don't have the money to travel the world and buy these horses?
Well, there are a lot of riders that are competing at this level that were in very similar positions. It's just about, I know they'll all tell you it's hard work. And also, go out to the rings, watch what they're doing, talk to people. It just takes one person, get an opportunity, be a working student, and you'll earn a shot.
I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, if you think about Canada and Eric Lamaze, he didn't come from an equestrian family whatsoever. He didn't have the easiest time growing up, and he really is self-made. He went to become a working pupil, he's ridden with some great people, and he's built a tremendous business, and won medals all over the place. So you've just got to look for these opportunities and go and try and find people to work with, and people that you respect and want to train with. And I'd also say try and train with a few different people as well, and take the best bits and put together your own style.
Watch everything, not just in the ring. Watch the schooling area. Watch what they do when they school their horses. Watch, everything that you can.
Yeah, the good, the bad,
Just
and the ugly.
soak it all in. Take notes.
Yeah.
Let's get back underway now. The first of 14 riders remaining with their second horses to compete and try to clear out the lead time.
Linda Shipley's watching from Texas.
Charlie Jacobs. Get back underway.
And we're back.
We're back, as if by magic. It's like nothing ever changed. Charlie Jacobs returning. Second ride for him. Esta Platina. Leslie Woodward saying, do most venues do this course adjustment halfway through the class? And you explained, Leslie, a little bit earlier, perhaps you weren't with us, though, that just because of the ground conditions, and I have to say they've actually held up pretty well, and perhaps they didn't need to, but just in case, what they did is when they built this course, they put an extra rail out that was 6 feet away from the fence, so the riders could walk their lines. And they decided, because of the ground conditions, to make it fair, they wanted to give everyone the same opportunity to be able to jump on fresh ground. So they've moved everything over 6 feet, but they've done it in a way that hasn't affected the length of the track or any of the sort of turns. And again, these riders have had a chance to come back in and re-walk as well. I don't know if you saw that in the background, the riders were walking. So normally, and in fact I've never actually seen it done in a one-round competition before, but the judges have done it to make sure that they've all got an equal opportunity. And that's what happened, and we're back underway with Charlie Jacobs here for the USA. He jumped a little bit earlier with that first ride, and now back with a second.
I love this horse, Esta Platina, 10-year-old Dutch warm-blood mare. He put in a great ride aboard this horse the other day in the T-Bird Challenge, so I hope he can keep it up, because they look really great, and they had a nice top 5 finish here just last week. Just getting a little bit low there out of that combination. Right now, the cutoff is at 8 faults to qualify for Sunday, so he really needs to make that his only mistake. And I will take the blame for that one.
And he'll have been thinking that as well. He's one of these guys that knows exactly what's going on at any given stride on course. So
very
he'll have
analytic.
Yeah,
yep.
absolutely. So it's all going to come down to the time for now. 69.41, 8 faults there for Charlie Jacobs. And it's going to put him outside the top 40 into 44th place.
Heartbreaker. That horse, though, they're going very well. I see nice things for them, you know, later on in this season.
And it's all about longevity. You know, it's all about building up and working towards these big results. And the only way to get the experience is to be in the ring.
Absolutely. And we talked about how long the season is. Plenty more chances for him to qualify. You know that the World Cup finals will be his goal again, especially with them coming to Las Vegas in 2020.
Oh, absolutely. Let's get Luis Pedro Berabin underway. Again, got a second ride involved with this one. This horse is called Kalu. This is the horse he took to the World Equestrian Games. Just on that unlucky rail so far, Luis Pedro Berabin and Kalu.
Really experienced pair again. They want to just keep on that. You know, the advantage of going late in the order is knowing exactly what you have to do, but that also comes with a little more pressure.
Just fighting a little bit around this corner. And finishes on for 72.78. Again, thinking about that qualification for the World Cup on Sunday. They're into 37th position.
It's going to be very close.
It's going to be biting his nails for the next half an hour. Just waiting to see. Christian next, and it's Kyle King for the USA. So just having a look around, getting organised.
Well, looking at the standings, Luis is pretty safe to qualify with his placing in 17th with Colorado from earlier, so that puts him in a very good spot. Kyle King, however, he's going to look to improve upon his round to make it into Sunday's qualifier.
Now this horse is quite quick. We saw him in the speed competitions at Spruce Meadows. He's just had that back bar though. Horse just gave it a real light rub. Cut off at the moment, sitting on 7.
And he's focusing on the jumps right now. He's going around. He wanted to set that up, but unfortunately, it didn't work for him. He's out.
It's a shame because he would have been one of the faster fours as well. But with that additional rail, won't qualify for Sunday. 66.15. Kyle King there with Christian for the USA. Heads into 42nd position. And it may be that there's someone in the top 40 that doesn't want to go on Sunday, of course. I think the ones who still want to come, I think, you know, if you've had a couple of rails, you're pretty much out. This is Beezy Madden next, a horse called Coach. Beezy was in a little bit earlier. Dari Liu.
This is a great horse. Winner of the $1 million Grand Prix in Ocala back in 2018 and won the 5-star Grand Prix at Glocks last year. Top finishes on the World Cup circuit at the Palm Beach Masters in Wellington. And this year, top 5 in the RBC Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. And that's about the short list.
She's just an amazing talent.
Well, just some perspective on her string at the moment. For the Pan American Games, Beezy made the team on either Reitling, Coach, or Dari Liu.
Yeah.
to have 3 horses capable of a championship.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. I mean, that's just amazing, and she's had such a long career and been really consistent over the decades. Fooling around's asking a question. It's not really a show jumping question, but she's got a 2-year-old, and she said, would you feed your horse grain? You've got to be really careful when they're growing up, and there's plenty of young horse mixes or compound feeds that are really well balanced, because when they're growing at 2, you've got to make sure that the calcium to phosphorus ratio is correct, otherwise they can end up with kind of bony abnormalities, so you'd be really careful. Easy, I mean, it's just putting in a great performance, and you're never surprised when she does, to be honest. It's almost a given.
It's almost expected. It's just incredible, and I especially love watching her in a jump off or a speed track, because she never looks like she's going fast. She's so efficient. She just has the most incredible tracks, and she always puts just the right amount of shape or angle on a jump. It's brilliant.
62.79, BZ Madden coach there, slips into 6th place. And it's the man with the bow tie coming back next, Carl Cook. Festival, the USA.
So Carl is currently sitting outside of the top 40 from his first horse, so he'll want to really improve upon that here with this 9-year-old. It's a brand new partnership. The horse was actually formerly ridden by Ireland's Shane Carey, but some nice finishes in Lexington and Delmar.
Connie Tramhunt says, go Beezy.
I'm with you.
Sure, there'll be lots of people thinking that out there. Down to the final 10 here. Big thank you to everyone who's been joining us and commenting and getting in touch. It's great to have you with us. If you have just joined us, don't forget to hit share on Facebook or on YouTube. Let all your friends know that they can get involved as well. And of course, any questions, do just let us know. We're great at making up answers. We'll answer anything.
Ask us anything. Well, he's got to be thrilled.
Oh yeah, I mean that was pretty amazing actually. Carl Cook, Festival for the USA, goes into 6th place, but a real nice fluid round.
And a brand new ride for him. I mean, they're coming together, clicking, I mean, very quickly.
Here's second ride for Jonas Vervoet. Next to show.
Jonas Vervoet is about to be underway. Interactive Mortgage.
Greg Long. Belgian rider back for his second and final time. Just 9 challengers.
Represents Belgium here.
60.53.
This is another, he just started riding this summer at Spruce as he started getting some rides for Craig and Tina Gates at High Point Farm. He did this one a lot in the U25 division.
Very well bred. It's by a stallion called Lord Peasy. He's 12 years old, this horse. He's another one. He's the second one I think we've seen that rides with double reins. It's not often you see that. It's quite a lot to hold in your hands as well, and if you happen to drop your reins over a fence or need to let your reins slide through your hand, it's just slightly more difficult with the 2 reins.
It's definitely a more technical ride. I like it. I like having, having the option of which rein to use, bottom or top rein for control, but certainly when in a speed class, when you're moving that quickly, I mean, I could see where, the converter is going to be a huge asset. I guess it's all personal preference and probably having to do with the horse. If you have a horse that needs a little bit more leverage and wants to take up that bottom rein.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this level, they're pretty much an expert, and they'll have decided to do this for a reason.
Everything has a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad at all. Nice round there. 70.58 for Jonas Vervoet, an Interactive Mortgage for Belgium.
Well, that's another hugely improving upon his first ride. 16 faults from the first round, and then comes in and gets a clear. That's how you get it done.
and he's guaranteed if he wants a place in the World Cup. Zazu Hoffman comes next. Real kind of striking flex in mane and tail on this horse. It's called Vice Versa. Jumped quite well just the other day here.
This has really been her kind of project horse that she's brought up herself, that she's really worked with, and she's done a very nice job with the horse. I've really seen it come along. Actually, this horse was originally ridden by Marlon Modolo Zanatelli of Brazil, who just won that individual gold at Lima.
You can recognize him by the yellow jacket. Javier Cruz has just joined, watching from Chile.
I can't keep track of all the time zones anymore.
I know, exactly. Shirokei's asking about spurs, and again, spurs are really individual to each rider, and they've got the choice to make what to wear. This is a good round though from Zazu Hoffman, 62.28 clear, and it goes into 5th place. You can see how happy she is with that horse.
That horse looks great. She's riding in incredible form. She's such a talent and a hard worker too. She's earned every bit of this.
The other thing with spurs as well is, you know, horse welfare is just so paramount in this sport, and there's a team of FEI stewards backstage, and all the horses get checked as they come out of the ring, and they look for, you know, any marks, and they always do a boot check as well. So as the horses come out, the boots are taken off and inspected, and make sure that, you know, everything's legal and as it should be. So, you know, horse welfare definitely a big part in the sport of show jumping. Rowan Willis joining us once again, back with his second ride. This is Evers W. We saw him with Blue Movie a little bit earlier on. He was second here in the winning round last week.
This is a cool horse. Just the definition of versatility. It's everything from speed classes to Grand Prix, to puissances and 6 bars, and it's a 2-time winner in a derby.
He does a great job with this one. Really like this partnership. So much love coming in for Beezy as well. Cindy Hans says Beezy gave a lesson in show jumping. Love watching her. Dina Daniel says beautiful ride, Beezy. Paula says wonderful, wish I was there, but thanks for sharing. If you haven't been yet, Paula, you should definitely try to come to Thunderbird. I know everyone raves about it.
I tell everyone to put it on their calendars, and it's a bit far away, but it's worth every minute of the trip.
Just catches that upright, so he's now thinking about,
He
I was
was
going to say being a
picking
fast
up
4, but
he was thinking of being fast, but unfortunately another rail fell for him.
60.958 there for Rowan Willis and Evers W.
And it's going to be very close for him because currently he's 38th with Blue Movie.
Yeah, it is going to be close. If you've just joined us, I mean, they're trying to qualify for the World Cup, but this is a competition in its own right as well. There's a fair amount of prize money involved, and in any FEI competition there's a minimum of 12 cash prizes, but when you've got a bigger field like this, it becomes 1 for every 4. Jen Gates is back, her second ride, Alex. Some really nice horses involved in the international scene at the moment. He's a 15-year-old, and a Moncherie mare, of course with a team at Evergate Stables. And that team seems to be growing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer Gates' boyfriend, Niall Nassar, is an exceptionally talented rider, and he's picked up the ride on a few of the Evergate horses and done a tremendous job. Most notable of those being the 5-star winner in Lucifer.
Which I think is one of the most difficult horses on the circuit, and one that Niall's just sorted out, and I think he's getting the best tune out of that horse that anyone ever has.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more.
Unfortunately, Jen having a bit of an early rail today.
This is a horse that she's had quite a long partnership with. They actually won the U25 National Championship in Kentucky a few years back.
Jessica Bowen saying, what's your favourite breed?
You know, I don't know that. I mean, I enjoy pedigree, and I have pedigrees that I like, but I don't know that there would be a breed other than a warm blood that I would pick. It's just, it's so individualized. I don't like to judge a horse.
As long as it jumps, as long as it gets the job
exactly,
done.
An honest trying horse.
Jen's going to finish on 4 today, 68.02. Just having that one rail down. I think Chaco Blue is probably the most popular stallion and breeding line at the minute.
But Chaco Blues can be difficult.
Yeah,
they definitely have an opinion. But yeah, they certainly can jump.
Patricio Pascal then. This is a horse called Dublin. One he brought out for the first time in Guadalajara earlier in the year. He was placed there actually. They have a kind of 2-week tour. Then he went on to Lyon, top 10 there. Bit of a regular here, and also at Spruce Meadows every single summer you can find him jumping there. Ashley Bond still leads at this stage, 60.53 with that incredible Donatello still out in front.
Oh, a bit of a delayed rail there. Got a lot of height over that oxer and just kind of tapped it on the way down. Oh, great athleticism there through the double. Whoa, horse is jumping.
Kind of really goes up in the air. I think he's just trying to encourage him to go across the fence at the same time.
Just a 9-year-old. A couple of nice finishes already this year at the 5-star level, both at Jalapa and here at T-Bird during Nations Cup week and the Udland Brown BC Open.
Getting down to about the final 5 horses. So if you've got any final questions you want to ask, either on Facebook Live or on the FEI YouTube page, make sure you get those questions in. Just about 5 combinations left to go here in the Volvo Cup. See him ride every single stride down that final line, and he's going to finish on 4 faults today. 73.14 there for Patricio Pascal of Mexico with Dublin.
Right now, that's still going to be outside of the top 40. But with his first ride, he will be within that, so he's at 31st.
So he's guaranteed to qualify for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, which takes place here on Sunday. And remember, you can watch that one on FEI TV, 2 o'clock on Sunday, and that's local time, so you'll have to do the maths and try and work out wherever you are in the world, but make sure you're with us here for that one. It's going to be pretty special, I would reckon. This is Daniel Coyle then with Sita. Just in case you weren't watching earlier, you know we mentioned what an amazing time he's had over the last few days here, having a first and second finish with 2 horses, and a little bit sticky off the ground there. But he'll settle that horse down, find its rhythm, and off they'll go. Not having the easiest ride today, actually.
No, she is definitely a bit sticky off the ground. You can really see him encouraging her, trying to get her in front of his leg. She jumped beautifully and won the T-Bird Challenge in the sand ring the other day. Maybe just a bit backed off now, having another change in venue.
Yeah.
But this horse is exceptional. And again, just sticking off the ground, and they will take the rail down there at the Oxer into the double. This horse won the Longines Grand Prix back in 2018 here, 5-star. But he's safely qualified for Sunday with his ride on Pharrell. So here's going to be a good school and to get a gauge on how Sita's feeling.
And he'll definitely be a contender.
Without question. And that could have been, I mean, the score could be a lot higher. Give a great round.
63.96, just maybe a touch unlucky out there today. Daniel Coyle and Sita. Expensive rail though, you know, moves them from the top 10 finish he would have had with that time down into 30th.
Top 10 overall, Sloan Gold, of course, we talked about her earlier. And she's only at 10.
Shira Kay says, do the riders have to disclose in advance which type of bit they'll be using? They don't have to disclose it. They have to be legal though. And again, the stewards are out there and they keep an eye on all that sort of thing. Getting back to the sort of breeding side of things, Rodent Razor says Tim Stockdale, of course the great Tim Stockdale, who unfortunately passed away, used to ride a half Shire horse named Bridget. That was a chunky horse, but boy could it jump. Someone else saying a Welsh mountain pony is their favourite. I'd love to see you take a Welsh mountain pony, bring it out and try and jump this track.
Me too.
They're very cute, but when it comes to jumping 160, I would leave that one at home. Here's Vanessa Mannix, based in Calgary. Got a couple of nice horses at the moment. This is Katinka, represents the home nation of Canada. Sits 14th with that first ride, Valentino. She went clear with that, 65.06 was her time.
This is another very nice horse as well, and talk about consistency. 7 straight top 10 finishes in FEI classes from April to May of this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's just amazing.
That's very, very difficult.
Someone asking about martingales. Martingales are allowed, but only running martingales. Can't have any standing martingales in FEI. And since we're talking about tack, you can see that Vanessa wears little blinkers, those black things on the side of the horse's face, and they've got to be 3 centimeters or less. And it used to be that people used big sheepskin versions, but people were always getting in trouble because you couldn't really control how wide sheepskin would be, and then this company came up with these black plastic ones. You tend to find those on horses that are just a little bit spooky or like to look at the odd thing, and they can be very, very helpful indeed.
It's a very scaled down version of what you see in thoroughbred racing.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to tune out all the surrounding distractions.
Don't want to jinx her, but she's having a great afternoon.
I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to say it. Beautiful.
All the way, just over actually, 75.67. But again, you know, she wasn't in it to be competitive today. She wasn't riding it like it was a speed competition, which it is. So she kind of got the job done that she wanted to do. Down to the final 3 here then. Ashley Bond still leading the way. I don't think anyone can catch her. She was pretty amazing with that horse earlier on. Jose Antonio Chedraui comes next. Amara de Bergerie for Mexico.
Long-time partnership here. Spending a lot of time on that Mexican circuit that just continues to grow by leaps and bounds. Nice results at the 3- and 4-star level. Guadalajara, Balvanera, and Jalapa just this year alone.
Shira Kay's getting back onto the old blinker. She said if sheepskin was helping the horses, why was it not permitted? Because we don't want them to be able to cheat too much. You know, the horses have got to be able to concentrate. And I think, you know, that's what they were saying. They couldn't really be sticking out, you know, 50 centimetres past the horse's face. It would just get ridiculous. So they said, you know, you can have them up to 3 centimetres, which is enough just to keep the horse's attention without being too ridiculous. And that's why that limit's there, and that's why these little ones were invented. Because before, you used to have to end up taping the sheepskin down to keep it below that 3 centimetre limit. Getting very technical here this afternoon, Katie.
Inquisitive minds.
Yes. Good old YouTube people. Just before that, then. 70.43 for Jose Antonio Chedraui. And Myra de Bergerie, finishing on 4 for Mexico, goes to 40th position. 2 left to go. Top 40 to qualify.
That's as close to the bubble as you get because
Yeah.
he's outside of that top 40 with his other mount. But Andy Coker, he's already qualified, sitting in second. So that's one less for him.
Yeah, and I think Connorsville might have actually withdrawn his other horse. I think this might be our last to go. The horse is called Squirt Gun. We saw him jump the other day. He's had some great success already.
Andy thinks really highly of this horse. He's actually called this horse the best horse he's ever had, but he's a little bit still green. He's very raw, but he can jump, as you just saw there. I think he really wants this horse to be a World Cup horse next season.
It's certainly a name that people won't forget. We need to ask him where the name Squirt Gun came from. Probably with the horse, actually.
No, actually his owner named the horse.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know why she chose the name, but I do know that the owner named the horse.
I'm not sure I want to know now. Squirt Gun is on track, though, for Andy Coker. He gets a great tune out of these horses. And it's never over when Andy Coker's in the ring. 60.53, though, is that challenge in the time to be beaten. See how useful the horse is at just turning through the air. And he's got his tongue out, he's concentrating that much down this final line. Is he going to be quick enough, though? Is it going to go right to the wire? It's 60.46 there for Andy Coker, and Squirt Gun representing the USA right to the top. And last shall be first. He will be over the moon with that little horse.
What a day for him. He is going to be thrilled. He loves this horse. You know, he thinks a lot of it. It's still quite young. It just really started stepping up to these classes. That's huge. And he went to the top with Fashion. Ashley Bond took the lead from him, and you know he was very hungry to take it back.
Absolutely. He is always in it to win it. And the pressure never seems to faze Andy. You know, he just comes in and gets the job done. There's your full result then. It is a win for Andy Coker. Last to go, 60.46 the winning time. Ashley Bond, long-time leader, finishes in second on a 60.53. Great afternoon for Andy. He's in third as well with Fashion, 61.14. Harry Smolders, he led the way for quite a while, 61.96. And when he set that standard, I wasn't even sure it could be caught. And it was quite a few times, but we've seen some great jumping here this afternoon.
Oh, the competition really heated up. It got quite exciting. It's a huge field. Everyone really wanting to qualify for Sunday. And of course, we are building up all week long to this Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver as we get the North American League started again. It's my favorite time of year.
Absolutely, and getting to come here as well to this amazing venue. Just a final couple of minutes to answer any last questions. Someone asking about putting tape on the horse's nose. You wouldn't think that would be allowed. Well, it's actually to help the horse and to help keep those airways open because they need so much oxygen. And of course that oxygen goes into the horse's blood and really helps them on the way around. So that's why you see tape on a horse's nose. It's nothing kind of performance enhancing really. It's just to help keep those airways open. Just someone else saying tack is so varied amongst all the horses. Thanks for diving into it. No problem. We made up most of the answers. No, we didn't really. Let's have a look on Facebook. Any last questions? Way to go, Andy, sends James Ware. Great job for Team USA, says Sandra Foy. Thanks to have you with us. And Miranda says, hey, don't diss the ponies. Remember Stroller won in Mexico. And actually, Miranda, if you were with us earlier, we were actually saying about Milton as well and how small Milton was and managed to jump. Stroller's a great example. But what we were saying, though, is someone liked a Welsh mountain pony, and Stroller was definitely not a Welsh mountain pony. Kelly Edwards, is there a limit on nose sheepskin? Does it help keep the nose down? I don't think so. Not on nose sheepskin. It's only when it's on as a blinker on the cheek pieces. And favourites for Sunday. There's a question for you, Katie.
Ooh.
Favourites for Sunday.
Well, it might be the easy answer, but Beezy Madden
Okay.
is just, you know, she's going to be tough. The other one, I will say, Daniel Coyle.
Yeah, I think Daniel Coyle. even Andy Coker, like the way he went today, I mean, he's definitely in with a shot.
Absolutely.
And Eve Jobs, actually, when you think about her sort of campaign last year.
Connor Swale, you can
Connor
never
Swale.
count him out.
No, he's done it here
especially
before.
here.
So really, the ones that are starting all deserve to be there. They've all qualified to be
They
there.
earned it today.
Yeah, so make sure you're there to support them and watch them as well. But remember, if you want to watch that World Cup qualifier here on Sunday, the only way to watch it is on FEI TV. So make sure you get organised, make sure you're with us. We start at 2 p.m. local time, and we're in Pacific time.
We are in Pacific time.
There we go. So make sure you do the calculation and you join us on FEI TV for the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver. First of the 14 legs. Thank you to everybody who's been getting involved here on Facebook Live, on the FEI YouTube channel as well. I'm sure you can watch and relive all the action on the FEI YouTube channel as well. I've been Adam Cromarty. Katie Stazak sitting alongside me here this afternoon. We'll be back on Sunday, FEI TV, and we hope we'll see you there.
Have a great night, everyone.
On their way to qualify for the World Cup Finals in 2020 in Las Vegas.
Of course, Andy's so excited on the victory. He already came into the ring. He's hanging out. Let's bring back all the rest of our top placers for the $75,000 Volvo Cup. We'll ask our riders to go ahead and line up here for the presentation of the awards for our $75,000 Volvo Cup.
Hey, how are you doing? Good.
Lynn Foster, one of our award coordinators, is bringing back those top 10 riders here. Jane Tidball, our president, tournament director, joining Chris Pack, chief operating officer and tournament manager. Representing Volvo Canada, pleasure to have Kendall Williams and mom Lee Williams joining us here for the award presentation. First and third for your champion, let's introduce you to Mr. Andrew Coker, as he'll take the victory as the last to go aboard Squirt Gun, by just 7/100ths of a second, claiming the victory. First and third to Andy Coker, of course, Fashion 5 will be our third place recipient. We'd like to once again thank Volvo of Canada for sponsoring our $75,000 Volvo Cup, the Longines ranking class this afternoon. Congratulations, first and third to Andy Coker. Your reserve champion, she held the lead all the way down to the final horse. It's Donatello and Ashley Miaspon taking home second. A fourth place finish for Harry Smolders from the Netherlands aboard Hocus Pocus de Moons. It's a 5th place finish for Eve Jobs, the American aboard Charleville. A 6th place finish for Zazu Hoffman, USA aboard Vice Versa Duoso. A 7th place finish for Connor Swale, the Irishborn aboard Koss Van Heistad. An 8th place finish for Carl Cook aboard Fessibel, riding for the owner Signe Osby. A 9th place finish for Elizabeth B.Z. Madden and coach, riding for the owner Abigail Wexner. And a 10th place finish for Eugenio Garza Perez and Papa Antaportes. Congratulations to our top 9 here in the show ring, as we'd like to thank Kendall Williams, Lee Williams for joining us, of course Jane and Chris as they'll make their way back. We have one more request from the champion Andy, if you would lead him off in the victory ride. And congratulations to the winner of our $75,000 Volvo Cup, Andy Coker, aboard Squirt Gun. Congratulations once again to all of our top riders here. A big, big class to help qualify as well the Longines ranking for the weekend edition of the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup Vancouver, the first event of the North American League. Congratulations once again to your winner and champion, Squirt Gun and Andy Coker. Ashley Bond. Harry Smolders, Eve Jobs, Zazu Hoffman, Connor Swale, Carl Cook, and BZ Madden. Andy will ask you to remain on course if you would please for the commemorative photograph with our sponsors. And congratulations once again to our champion, Andy Coker. Fast 5 and 3rd and Squirt Gun, your winner.